Chapter 608, Crumbling Cage 4. Chapter 608, Crumbling Cage 4. It seems I made a mistake. Yang Jihuang begins adjusting her body. The faint tremor she was showing ceases. It is just a misunderstanding. I have no hesitation in killing you. You can't kill me, Yang Jihuang. If I drive my sword through you, you die. And I won't die for you either. I lift the colorless glass sword. You won't die for me? You talk as if you have a choice. There is no choice. I will not die to you. Because. I glance behind me. Inside, filling the heavens governing view. Time still flows rapidly. Within it, Golden Shaking Bird is fighting against difficulties to create a new invention. After watching her for a moment, I turn back to Yang Jihuang. What's behind this back isn't just my own heart alone. I can never die, nor retreat. How laughable. Do you think a mere heart amounts to anything? The heart holds no power. It is nothing but an evil that always drags the situation into disorder and chaos. The heart is not evil. I take my stance. Yang Jihuang, as the sword spear Heavenly Lord, also assumes her stance. Just as you sought me out, seeking an answer for your heart directed at me. The heart is simply an answer. If this chaotic, painful thing is an answer, then ignorance is bliss. We stare each other down before, all of a sudden, we raise our swords and collide. White light and silver-white radiance collide. Within a fleeting instant, we exchange so many strikes that we might as well measure them in units of culpas. Ja. A single exchange. And with each exchange, my sword reflects what is behind me. Every time we cross swords, the sword's surface reveals Golden Shaking Bird failing over and over again. In this landscape world, drawn like an ancient ink painting, we continue an endless sword dance. With her strike, the landscape scenery is cleaved away. With my strike, something new is drawn beyond the severed scenery. I reflect the heart of the sword spear Heavenly Lord transparently with the impermanence sword, deflecting every one of her sword strikes. But just that alone is overwhelming. Merely deflecting her attacks drains all my energy. Her sword is both heavy and sharp. Each time I block a strike, it feels as though my entire body is being gouged out. Moreover, embedded within each of her strikes is a prophecy. Every prophecy foretells my defeat. It's useless, Yang Jihuang. But my sword cleaves through hers, through those prophecies, and pierces through. Because I can see it clearly. In each and every one of Yang Jihuang's swords embedded with prophecy. Within those sword strikes, the imagery brims with light pink and dark blue intent. No matter how many prophecies you make about cutting me despite not wanting to, they will all be pierced through by me. My sword carries sun shooting. Imbued with the immortal art of sun shooting, my sword cuts through Yang Jihuang's swordplay, through the visions of prophecy soaked in her sorrowful heart. Her sword collapses the landscape painting, while mine fills it with mist. Gradually, I sense the will of Bong Mayong that is restricting us weakening. But Bong Mayong's will does not disappear. Bong Mayong's will is gathering into the recreated earth that I have covered with filling the heavens governing view. Golden Shaking Bird continues to fail. Once, twice, 10 times, 20 times. Before I know it, she has failed 90 times. Yet she does not give up. She keeps inventing, pressing forward. 90 times, 91 times, 92 times, 97, 98, 99, and at last, Kang. I deflect Yang Jihuang's sword, and Golden Shaking Bird's 100th attempt reflects on the surface of my sword. Blink. I smile. The landscape painting drawn by Bong Mayong has long since been erased, and the world is now shrouded in mist. Yet, within this mist, where nothing is certain and no answer can be known, a light created by human hands flickers to life. I can feel Yang Jihuang's body tremble. More precisely, it is not the mortal Yang Jihuang who is taken aback, but the sword spear Heavenly Lord. You've worked hard, Golden Shaking Bird. At the end of 100 failures, she has finally invented the light bulb. Chwerararak. Kirik. At the same time, the form of Golden Shaking Bird's great desolate path, which had melted into the recreated earth, now envelopes it. The imitation of Yang Sung, the great desolate path, glows and begins accelerating the time within the recreated earth. Having invented the light bulb, Golden Shaking Bird begins to age rapidly. However, the world gradually begins to brighten. Wires spread across the recreated earth, gradually pushing back the darkness and illuminating everything. Watching this, I finally come to a realization. You cannot defeat me, Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. What? That is, because the advancement of civilization, the evolution of people, happens only through the heart people pass on to one another. Immortal cultivation is progress. Vascold's words were right. The heart that people pass on to one another. Love is what makes people evolve. If you face me as the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, you will never break through me. You may be able to kill me, but you will never get past me, because that is The power of countless hearts carried on my back. Civilization evolves. The rules of Liberation Peach Garden Village unravel. At the same time, I sense an overwhelming will settling into this space. At last, I know whose voice this is. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord's eyes widen. Behind me, a seven-colored bird spreads its wings. Bong Myong, whose prophecy had been fulfilled at the cost of their own life, is now reviving alongside the prophecy. And with it, all those who had died until now are reviving with their prophecies. The true immortal who dwelled within the first prophet. The true immortal who had dwelled within the prophet who had been nailed to a pillar and died. Golden Shaking Bird. And Kim Young-hoon, John Myong-hoon, and Kim Yun, who had been killed by the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, all rise again in unison. In an instant, the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord becomes surrounded by countless true immortals. It is our victory. Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, Yang Ji Huang. I raise the colorless glass sword. Behind Yang Ji Huang, light pink quince flowers bloom in full, entering heavens beyond the path. Full blossom. Passasasasak. I swing my sword down, and Kim Yun's entering heavens beyond the path unleashes a radiance filled with infinite love. The Sword Spear Heavenly Lord stands dazed amidst it all, staring at me, the true immortals reviving behind me, and Kim Yun. With the light of connections condensed over 10 million years, I rose to earth upper immortal. And now, I begin to accept the light of countless hearts blooming behind me. Just as civilization evolved through the heart passed from one person to another, the love of the true immortals and the countless people who exchanged hearts inside civilization begins to evolve me from within my heart. Kim Yun's full blossom channels the heart of evolution within the recreated earth into me. Kurururum. As the evolution that Bong Myong desired comes to fruition and Liberation Peach Garden Village unravels, I feel my authority and power completely returning and notice my strength rising. It with circumflex new U.S. The heart of people, which advanced civilization, shines across the entire three heavens great thousand worlds, engraving light upon the world. Kugugugugu. I feel myself, who has risen as an earth upper immortal, rise once more. So that's how it is. Hong Fan pushes my back from behind, propelling me strongly forward. He is flung into the recreated earth by the recoil, yet he smiles faintly. Simultaneously, a distortion ripples through the dimension behind me, and a pure white-winged garment begins to form. My heaven upper immortal advancement ritual is complete. The power of a heaven and earth upper immortal surges within me, merging with Kim Yun's strength, and cuts through the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord. Shukagak. My single sword lasts only an instant, yet it moves so fast that even the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord fails to react, slicing through the mask and bandages covering her face. Pasasas. As the mask falls apart, what is revealed is none other than Yang Ji Huang's still beautiful bare face. She absent-mindedly touches her face, and tears stream down her cheeks. Ah. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. As I watch Yang Ji Huang, who reveals her bare face before me in this life, sobbing uncontrollably, I let out a bitter smile. Kim Yun, too, watches the scene with a bitter smile before turning her back to me, as if willing to overlook this moment just once. Damn it. I approach Yang Ji Huang, who has suddenly collapsed in place, sobbing, and gently pat her back. Damn it. What is this? What is this? You. Yang Ji Huang, crumpled on the ground, trembles violently as she cries out. You. I don't want to kill you. It's okay, Yang Ji Huang. I look at her, completely dyed in light pink intent, and speak. That's how it's supposed to be. Wag. On this day, I become a heaven immortal through the heart passed from one person to another. Bong Myong finally obtains what they desire from within the bridle of fate, and the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord, unable to deceive her heart hidden behind her mask, completely collapses. I embrace Yang Ji Huang, who has found her heart, and speak with a bitter expression. I implore the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Chua. The silver-white lights I have gathered within the canvas of myriad forms and connections are all sucked into the underworld. At the same time, Bong Myong begins to walk past me. They are moving towards somewhere. Kururum. Flash. Simultaneously, 7 massive lumps of light appear in the sky. 7 colossal gods of light. It is the Radiance 8 immortals, excluding Yang Ji Huang. Bong Myong. Have you betrayed us? Did you instill madness into the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord? We shall bring judgment upon you. However, the resurrected Bong Myong does not show a hint of fear even in front of the Radiance 8 immortals. You cannot judge this immortal. What? Madness. Bong Myong. You are not Great Mountain or Heavenly Punishment. That is correct. I am not them. Kugugugugugu. Behind me, from the direction of the recreated earth, an overwhelming presence begins to emerge. But this is something I have planned ever since I first heard of his world from Yang Sujin. Quachik, quachijijik. The light of electricity, born from the invention of golden shaking bird, engulfs the recreated earth. I realize that I can see something beyond the recreated earth. It is the symbol of black snake biting its tail. However, the light of electricity illuminating the recreated earth creates a gap within a part of the symbol of black snake biting its tail. Quarururum. At the same time, something is being summoned behind the recreated earth. No, this is not summoning. It has not come here. Rather, we have been teleported to where it is. It is a heavenly domain. In that heavenly domain, enormous characters spell out horse ear. Vongmyeong. The Radiance 8 immortals begin to convulse. Quarururum. The electric current covering the recreated earth grows stronger and stronger. Watching this, I finish my request to the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Behind me, Kim Yun takes my hand. Please, at the very least, let my comrades survive this battle of imperial kings. We are going to die now. From now on, this place will become the battlefield of imperial kings. I also implore the Liberation Supreme Deity and the Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity. Even if it is not me, please, at least let my comrades escape from this battlefield. Impossible ka. However, the one who responds is not them. The final seat of Radiance Hall, radiating black-blue light. The rain-dew heavenly lord looks down upon me. Oh, Enders. Kuguguguk. You? Yang Jihuang's body moves on its own and clings tightly to me. The sin of corrupting the sword spear heavenly lord. Here and now, all shall pay the price. Bong Myong seems to be trying to transfer us away, but the silver-white light emanating from Yang Jihuang's body seeps into me. Kim Yun, John Myong-hoon, and Kim Young-hoon, fixing us in place. But in the next moment, Jiuing, from deep within the underworld, there, an immense darkness bursts forth, dragging Kim Young-hoon, John Myong-hoon, Kim Yun, and the others, before vanishing. At the same time, from the very depths of the underworld, a familiar face emerges, gripping my shoulder tightly and pulling me strongly. It is Kong Min-hee. But, clench, Yang Jihuang clings to me alone. Kong Min-hee exerts strength, but no matter what, she cannot take me away from Yang Jihuang. The light of the rain-dew heavenly lord is strongly pouring down upon Yang Jihuang. Yes, sword spear, fulfill your original duty. Henceforth, the battle of imperial kings shall begin. Kurung, Kururum, Kurum. I can feel it. The recreated earth has created a gap in the fate of the Radiance Supreme Deity enveloping the horse ear heavenly domain. Geook. The dimensional boundary of the horse ear heavenly domain splits apart, and from within, an overwhelming storm of thunder and lightning bursts forth. Bong Myong tries to shield me, but even the mere aftershock shatters Bong Myong's protective barrier like a brittle wall of garbage. Kugugugugugu. As I am swallowed by the waves of lightning crashing down on me like a tsunami, I feel Yang Jihuang's warmth. The world turns incandescent under the lightning. A lot of things have happened. It truly has been a turbulent life. To everyone, thank you. And so, within the conflict of imperial kings, I embrace the sword spear heavenly lord who has fully accepted her heart towards me, and close my eyes. That is my 1004th return. Kurururum. The great forest heavenly lord and the rain-dew heavenly lord show discomfort as they look at the one ender who has just died and the sword spear heavenly lord. How long until sword spear revives? Within half a gak, sword swear will revive in the inner sanctum of Radiance Hall. For now, we just have to hold out until then. Yet even though the one ender has been killed, the corruption through him remains unchanged. Can we truly trust and fight alongside them? If the contamination is too severe, there is no choice. Us seven must suppress those two. The rain-dew heavenly lord mutters as they watch the colossal arm of lightning emerging from the horse ear heavenly domain. Even 500,000 years ago, when the Jade Pivot 48 lightning heavenly great immortals existed, they were imprisoned by us. This time, on the contrary, we will kill. Kwaon. The arm of lightning smacks the rain-dew heavenly lord. The rain-dew heavenly lord is sent hurtling through the bearing tree heavenly domain, twin-holding heavenly domain, and the outskirts of the heavenly king heavenly domain, before being flung all the way to the outer sea beyond Mount Samaru. The Radiance 8 immortals, suddenly reduced to 6 in an instant, widen their eyes and glare at the heavenly punishment supreme deity emerging from the horse ear heavenly domain. That one. They have been storing power. In the horse ear heavenly domain? How could that be possible? Just as the Radiance 8 immortals are about to panic, the great forest heavenly lord hastily regains composure and shouts. Do not falter. Hold formation. We just need to endure until sword spear and rain-dew return. That one can never reach Great Mountain. Even if rain-dew was flung away, they have not been torn up. Immediately after, A colossal lightning flagpole appears and swings through the space. The great forest heavenly lord is struck by the pole and sent flying beneath Mount Sumru, piercing through the bearing tree heavenly domain and the heavenly king heavenly domain, before being embedded at the very edge of the sun and moon heavenly domain. Quarong, the edge of the sun and moon heavenly domain. Bright cold realms heavenly lotus mountain. Piercing through the dimensional barrier of the bright cold realm, the giant body of the great forest heavenly lord crashes down, flattening the entire continent of the bright cold realm. All living beings in the bright cold realm, except for Baek Woon, transform into a vast, dense forest, losing their personality and becoming nothing more than plants. Kugugugugugu. Yet before they can even experience life as plants, they are all annihilated by the shockwave of the great forest heavenly lord's fall, regardless of whether they are in the star-shattering stage or integration stage. Having been flung from the horse ear heavenly domain to the far edge of the sun and moon heavenly domain, all the way to the bright cold realm by a single attack, the great forest heavenly lord vomits divine blood from their entire body. Kurung, Kururung. Bong Myong clenches the void. The star veins of bearing tree, twin holding, and earth boundary heavenly domains simultaneously move under their will, forming a circuit that begins to embed into the heavenly punishment supreme deity's body. The heavenly punishment supreme deity starts to rise from within their massive seal. The time to wash away the shame has arrived. Quarurum. Cry out, O essence of great heavenly punishment. Quarurum. 3 heavens great thousand world. More than half the worlds within the inverted cone world become engulfed in lightning and thunder. The battlefield of true imperial kings begins to unfold. Translator notes. HP Supreme Deity unleashing their Bankai. Chapter 609, 1004th Cycle's First Day. I grasp onto my consciousness as it begins to blur. Everything feels like a dream. All the colors of the world disappear, and I begin to separate from reality. Now, my return to the past is about to begin. Wawoom. From afar, the underworld seems to be pulling me in, but since my spirit prioritizes the reversal of time, I gradually drift further away from the world that my soul is transcending space-time. However, I sense that something is different about this regression. This is Guguguk. I see. As I rose to heaven upper immortal, I also rose to the position of heaven earth upper immortal. Something appears before my eyes. Heaven immortal, the light symbolizing the pathway of fate. Earth immortal, the light symbolizing the pathway of history. Great mountain, the light symbolizing the immortal Tao of repentant enlightenment. When I reached earth upper immortal before, the light of the pathway of history and the light of my immortal Tao merged, forming a Taiji. But now, the lights representing heaven immortal, earth immortal, and the immortal Tao under the great mountain supreme deity's seat intertwine, forming a pattern familiar to me. 3 great ultimates. The 3 forces intertwine, appearing before my eyes in a familiar shape. Yet, for some reason, a strange sensation creeps over me. It's not enough. Something is missing. Why Yang? The 3 great ultimates, which serve as a bowl that I created during the heaven and earth dual cultivation of the entering nirvana stage, overlap with the immortal Tao's 3 great ultimates. The planes of fate, chi, and soul, which I had seized, absorbs the heaven-earth upper immortal and the immortal Tao's seat, merging entirely. As the 3 great ultimates completely merge, they finally form a proper immortal Tao, 3 great ultimates. I feel like something has been filled, but it's still not enough. At the very moment I realize this, I perceive something else. It is triple divinity. Brahma nature, Narayana nature, Mahesvara nature. Instinctively, I feel that these 2 must overlap with the 3 great ultimates before me. If I merge them, it feels like something huge will happen. However, I suddenly realize that I don't know how to merge triple divinity with the newly formed immortal Tao 3 great ultimates. Back when the 3 great ultimates was just a bowl, I could roughly pour in it. After all, I had only seized the planes of chi, soul, and fate, not truly wielded them as authority. Since I wasn't truly imprinting my own prophecy and revision upon the planes I seized, it hadn't been a problem to substitute triple divinity in their place. But now, the 3 great ultimates of the planes I have seized contain heaven, earth, and the immortal Tao's seat. I can no longer simply add something else. The bowl is full. If I truly wish to merge triple divinity, then each of triple divinity must perfectly correspond to the positions of heaven, earth, and heart. But no, they don't match. Creation, preservation, destruction. How do these align with chi, soul, and fate? How do they correspond at all? It's when I fall into confusion. I suddenly see something flying towards me from the depths of the underworld, which had been pulling me in. That is, they are familiar Tenghua. The Tenghua depicting the 5 enders, Kim Young-hoon, John Myung-hoon, Kong Min-hee, Oh Hyunsuk and Kim Yun fly towards me and are absorbed into my body. The heavenly venerable of the underworld has once again placed the Tingwa within the regressing me. And just when their Tingwas settle inside me, somehow, I feel like I understand. Kiririk. The triple divinity begins to rotate in the void. Triple divinity is, ultimately, the extreme manifestation of the essence of my intent. Let's rotate it. Creation, preservation, destruction. The cycle of recreation repeats as I rapidly rotate the triple divinity. The spinning triple divinity soon transforms into a single, pure white light. This is it. The moment the Tingwa settled within me. I don't know why, but I could understand that this is how it must be. Whether it is the guidance of the heavenly venerable of the underworld or the wisdom contained within the Tingwa themselves, I cannot tell. All I know is that an indescribable enlightenment surged through my mind, compelling me to rotate the triple divinity and unify it into one. And so, I fused the unified triple divinity into the immortal Tao, three great ultimates. Pat. In the achromatic world just before my regression, the three great ultimates before my eyes is dyed pure white. It is a color that reflects all light. The moment I recognized this, I realized that the time I just spent merging the three great ultimates into one has surpassed any ordinary short span of time. I have transcended even the fractions of time of Sao, Hu Silk, Whole, Hu Sudden, Me, Wei Tiny, and Siam, Shan Thin. Editor, these are traditional Chinese numbers. Su corresponds to 10 to the power of -4, Hu to 10 to the power of -5, Wei to 10 to the power of -6, and Shan to 10 to the power of -7. In this case, they can reasonably be interpreted as metric prefixes for seconds. Perhaps, it even seems as if time has been divided down to the realms of infinitely small units, such as blink of an eye, Senshi, snap of a finger, Tanjuru, fleeting instant, Chanka, 6 virtues, Lida, and void, Shikung. TL/N. These are all Buddhist terms used to describe very small moments in time. 6 virtues, Lida, for example, when used as a number, means 10 to the power of -19. Blink of an eye, Senshi, as a number is 10 to the power of -16. In that infinitesimal instant, I complete the pure white three great ultimates and recognize something. The white three great ultimates is reflecting light. It is not just physical light, all the rules and laws of this world. Beyond that, it even resists the authority of my regression. The moment I realize this, my mind snaps into focus. It's resisting the regression. Gijigijigik. Time is trying to rewind, but I now understand that I can resist this reversal. As soon as I realize this, I pour all of my willpower into the pure white three great ultimates. I must resist the regression. I will sever it. Searing my soul with the thought of having obtained the starting point of severing regression, I focus on the three great ultimates. Regression? Like this. I don't want to return like this. Dying is unfair, but if I plead with the heavenly venerable of the underworld, I might be able to live. Like this. I refuse to let my entire life be denied like this. In this world drained of color, I pour all my strength into resisting the immense force trying to drag me into the past, declaring my will to remain in this timeline. Don't make me laugh. Oh regression, this time, you will not take me so easily. Quadadudaduduck. In my dying state, I resist the regression. However, because I'm resisting the regression, I fail to resist being dragged towards the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Before I know it, my soul connects to the underworld. Kurururum. Time is still flowing. Beyond the underworld, the battlefield of the imperial kings comes into view. The Liberation Supreme Deity and the Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity joined hands and are waging war against Radiance Hall. In an instant, the Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord and the Great Forest Heavenly Lord are sent flying. The Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity is truly formidable. In an instant, half of Mount Sumeru becomes engulfed in lightning, and the lightning intertwines, forming a distinct shape. It is a banner. The banner of the Heavenly Lightning Banner covers all of Mount Sumeru. That terrifying thing is the true power of Zhongli. Spears of lightning begin piercing through the heavenly domains, leaving gaping holes in their wake. The inner seas between the heavenly domains overturn and boil. Belatedly, the Great Forest Heavenly Lord and the Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord rejoin the Radiance 8 Immortals. But, in the end, Yang Jihuang does not join them. Ultimately, the Great Forest Heavenly Lord and the Rain-Dew Heavenly Lord hurriedly engage the Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity, seemingly discussing something among themselves. Then, the 7 of them create something. The symbol of black snake biting its tail appears very faintly, almost imperceptibly, behind them. That is the end. Pay away it. The entire 3 heavens' great 1,000 worlds is engulfed in light. The Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity and the Liberation Supreme Deity as well. Ah, it is over. I don't know why, but I instinctively feel that it is. Inside that light, lightning and the circuit of star veins still flicker. But for some reason, I feel as though those two will lose. That's how overwhelming the light that emerged after the Radiance Supreme Deity's symbol is. Kigajigigik. As I witnessed the battle between the Radiance Supreme Deity and the two Supreme Deities, I gradually realized that this monochrome world is being covered in color. My spirit, which has momentarily transcended spacetime due to regression, continues resisting until the end and begins to settle into this timeline. Yeah, just as I am overcome with emotion. I suddenly notice that I am only one of the many spirits being dragged into the underworld. Countless souls are flowing deep into the underworld. Among them, I see familiar faces. Most notably are the true immortals of the Flying Immortal Alliance affiliated with Radiance Hall, who were massacred by Yang Jihuang and Make Jin. Make Jin appears utterly exhausted, wearing a bitter and vacant expression. Make Jin. I call out to him as he stares blankly. Do not grieve too much. After all, you lived doing everything you could. Make Jin gazes at me with unfocused eyes. You speak as if you've died many times before. Huh. Well, Earth Upper Immortals often remember their past lives, so maybe that's why. Oh, I lived doing everything I could, huh? But I was betrayed by what I had believed in my whole life. It is exactly as he says. From my perspective, it is somewhat welcome news that the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord gained a heart. But from his perspective, the divine being he worshipped his entire life bestowed their heart upon a mere mortal. Senior Purple Gold was right. Radiance Hall was just a gathering of madmen all along. With an exhausted expression, Make Jin mutters as he sinks into the darkness. Watching him, an indescribable emotion wells up within me. Seo Unhyun. Make Jin looks at me with a drained face and speaks. You seem to be acquainted with the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Am I right? Something like that. From what I see, you are likely one of the candidates for a Reaper of the underworld. You were an Earth Upper Immortal when we first met as well. I also saw you offer light directly to the God of Death at the very end. If you can directly offer to the God of Death, then perhaps you might even be a candidate for a judge. I have a request. Guarantee my afterlife. At the very least, grant me the potential to aim for the star-shattering stage in my next life. That is, as meager as it may be as payment, I will tell you the ultimate goal of the Radiance 8 Immortals and the true will of the Radiance Supreme Deity that I heard from the fallen guiding envoy of the final age of Dharma, Senior Purple Gold Heavenly Lord. Consider it an advance payment. I had intended to keep it secret until the end, but seeing that even the Sword Spear Heavenly Lord who should uphold fairness has been corrupted, I no longer feel any loyalty to Radiance Hall. My eyes widen at his words, and before I can even deny that I am a candidate for a judge, Make Jin reveals to me the ultimate goal of the Radiance 8 Immortals and the true will of the Radiance Supreme Deity. Upon hearing the true secret of Radiance Hall from Make Jin, my jaw drops in sheer shock, and my eyes nearly bulge from their sockets. That's absolute madness. Kukukuk, what do you think? Are they not just a gathering of lunatics? Those of Radiance Hall. Why in the world? Did you ever swear loyalty to Radiance Hall? No. If this is true, then why did the other true immortals? This is a truth that even most of the true immortals and great net immortals of Radiance Hall do not know. They only possess the distorted information fed to them by the Radiance 8 Immortals. The only one who uncovered the truth was the fallen guiding envoy of the final age of Dharma, Senior Purple Gold Heavenly Lord, who had infiltrated Radiance Hall as an agent of the underworld from the very beginning. Aside from me, only a select few among the envoys of the final age of Dharma know this truth. After whispering this terrifying secret to me, Make Jin, looking strangely relieved, begins sinking deeper into the darkness. The reason I remained loyal to Radiance Hall despite knowing that insane truth was because, in the end, I believed that the ultimate goal of the Radiance 8 Immortals was impossible, an objective that will never be achieved, and nothing more than a hollow utopia. It is merely the delusion of dreamers. That is why, despite knowing their true will, I dedicated my entire life to following the justice of Radiance Hall, as they contributed to correcting justice in the world. At last, Make Jin completely vanishes into the darkness, closing his eyes. I have pursued justice all my life. I have strived for a world where the strong cannot recklessly abuse the weak with unchecked tyranny. But it was all meaningless. Pasasasasa. Thus, the envoy of the final age of Dharma candidate of Radiance Hall, the great net immortal Make Jin, enters eternal rest that day. Life is but a fleeting spring dream. As I watch Make Jin slip into slumber, I am engulfed in shock, confusion, and an emotion I cannot quite define. And at that moment, Pasasak, I finally realized that the three great ultimates, which have been providing the force that allowed me to resist regression, have at last reached their limit. Kiriririk. Damn it. The recently completed Pure White 3 Great Ultimates contains enough power to annihilate the 33 heavenly resplendent treasure immortals in a single strike. Even so, it only manages to resist regression for no more than the brief moment needed to listen to make Jin's lamentations. Kiriririk. Once again, the world is covered in achromatic tones. Again, I am returning in the end. To sever regression, is an overwhelming power beyond comparison necessary? I let out a small sigh as I watched the completely wrung dry 3 Great Ultimates be reabsorbed into me. I have glimpsed hope for breaking free from regression. However, this much is far from enough. Only a power bordering on the infinite would allow me to sever regression. With that thought, I surrender my spirit to the force of regression. Wawung. The power of the underworld seems to try and grasp me, but even though I have ventured quite deep into its depths, the force of regression clings to me, leaving beyond space-time. Just then, from the deepest depths of the underworld, the emblem of White Wheel emerges, and something is launched towards me. Geum. It is a silver-white light. It is the light I had offered. The light seeps ever so naturally into my canvas of myriad forms and connections before returning to me once again. The will of the heavenly venerable of the underworld resounds in my ears. It has been long since I received something greater, so this you may keep. With those final words, my regression begins. Chwereric. As I rise against the flow of the source river, I try to interpret the heavenly venerable of the underworld's words. Something greater? What in the world does that mean? Well, it can't be helped. Regardless, this is a fortunate turn of events. Cradling the precious lights I cultivated through my canvas of myriad forms and connections, I gaze up at the black sky. Last time, I saw the symbols of 9 governing immortals. Now, it is time to identify all the governing immortals embedded in that sky. White Wheel, Western Heavenly Venerable, Netherworld Queen Mother. 6 interconnected stars, Southern Heavenly Venerable, True Ultimate Eternal Life, Great Emperor, Cheon Won. Transparent Seed, Eastern Heavenly Venerable, Flower Monarch, Guan Myong. Blackened 3 Great Ultimates, Northern Heavenly Venerable, True Martial Great Emperor, Hien Mu. Lightning Spear, Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity, Dugon. Bird Trapped in a Cage, Liberation Supreme Deity, Bong Myong. Black Sun, Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity, Hien Riol. Taiji in the shape of a fetus, Naming Supreme Deity, Hien Rang. Mountain Exuding Darkness, Great Mountain Supreme Deity, Guak Am. I have identified the symbols of all 9 governing immortals. What remains is only the symbol and name of the existence with only a ring, without a seat. I fix my gaze upon the empty seat with only a ring, situated beyond the domain of the heavenly venerables and among the supreme deities. 3. Immediately after, a searing pain, as if my eyeballs are about to burst, overtakes my head. Unlike the other governing immortals, the sense that something about this presence is utterly beyond grips me. Just looking at it fills me with horror and agony. Yet, beyond the pain, I finally discern the symbol and name of the last supreme deity in the black sky. Sun and moon pair of eyes. Emptiness supreme deity, Xiu Kong Sangdi, Myong Woon. That's right. The empty seat, with only a ring, belongs to the emptiness supreme deity Myong Woon. I, who had always assumed the remaining seat belonged to the radiance supreme deity, lift my head to the sky with a dazed expression. What? Indeed, the symbol of black snake biting its tail, as well as the name of the radiance supreme deity, Hyuksa. None of it is anywhere to be seen. The radiance supreme deity isn't here? Still shaken from Make Jin's revelation, I find myself struck by yet another shocking truth, and for now, I lift my head and gaze back at the sky. No information on the radiance supreme deity can be obtained. Then, only one thing remains. Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld. At least the true name of the Western Heavenly Venerable Netherworld Queen Mother. I look at the sky once more, seeking to know the name of the Western Heavenly Venerable Netherworld Queen Mother. But before I can uncover the true name of the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld, a pain, as if my eyeballs are about to burst, floods my senses and forces me to groan. And before I can fully read the wisdom of the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld, Parawayat. At last, the first day of the 1004th cycle welcomes me. The familiar domain of purity. Within this domain, at some point, I snap back to my senses. Hyok. Heek. It is the familiar scenery of the true immortal realm. Pat it. As soon as I welcome my 1004th life, I simultaneously immediately descend to the lower realm. Oh, Master, congratula. From the familiar altar, the sacred vessel stage Hong Fan flies towards me. Oh yeah, Hong Fan. Good to see you. Wait inside for now. Overwhelmed with chaotic information, I place Hong Fan into my internal world and begin racking my head. Emptiness, supreme deity. I lift my head and look toward the upper reaches of the true immortal realm. What appears up? There are the reflections of the governing immortals that exist in the other heavenly domains of the true immortal realm. That is why, although the governing immortals exist in their respective heavenly domains, they appear as if they reside up there. Then, I shift my gaze back, downward. The vertex of Mount Sumeru. The familiar world that exists there. The head realm. Myeong-woon. At last, I understand. I had roughly suspected it before, but only today, after comprehending the power contained in the name of the emptiness supreme deity Myeong-woon, do I finally feel certain. The head realm of the sun and moon heavenly domain is, in itself, an existence of the emptiness supreme deity Myeong-woon, and the radiance supreme deity. Feeling shaken by the bizarre truth I have uncovered, I look back up at the sky of the true immortal realm. Doesn't exist in this world. Is it perhaps because I had read the true names of the supreme deities in the black sky during my regression? Even the seats floating in the sky of the true immortal realm are now somewhat interpretable to me. Among them, the radiant supreme deity still does not exist. The radiant supreme deity Hyuksa, the black snake biting its tail, does not exist anywhere in this Sumeru 3 heaven's great thousand worlds. Pearat, the sword spear heavenly lord appears once again before my eyes filled with confusion. It seems they are searching for me, but unlike before, I do not panic. Instead, I hold my breath and stay still. The immortal title of crystal glass being protects me. Sorry, but let's meet another time, Yongji. And then, clench. The sword spear heavenly lord stares straight at me and clenches my body with a hand of light. Caught you. Seo Unhyun. Huh. The sword spear heavenly lord stares at me more clearly than ever before, tightening their grip. On the first day of regression, I have been caught by the sword spear heavenly lord. Chapter 610, Kidnapper, one who returns to the Gaga. 1. Seo Unhyun. Kadudududuk. Kawuk. An overwhelming force grips my body as if to crush it. Speak. I rack my brain, unable to comprehend. Just why? Wasn't the immortal title of crystal glass being safe from the gaze of light? What is this? Why? Why is the reaction different from my past life? Is it because I have risen to heaven upper immortal? No, that's not it. Through the bizarre authority of an ender. How did you steal this immortal's light? Only then do I understand why I was discovered immediately. Damn it. The light that the heavenly venerable of the underworld returned to me. The light that I created in the past life through the canvas of myriad forms and connections. That light must have belonged to the domain governed by the sword spear heavenly lord. So, because I stole their light, they recognized it immediately. And also, Woodaduk, the force of the sword spear heavenly lord gripping me tightens even further. What have you done to this immortal? Woo-woo. I gaze at something that has settled within her. It is a powerful wave of intent. Countless unknown, chaotic hearts are dwelling within her. Seeing this, my eyes widen. What is this? Why? The emotions within her. They are exactly the same as the heart of Yang Jihuang from my past life. This is strange. In the current moment, there is no reason for the sword spear heavenly lord to have such a heart. It's not like she realized I discovered her name. So why? Thinking back, things have been strange since my past life. In the past life, my encounter with the sword spear heavenly lord had been brief, and yet, in that short span of time, she had suddenly taken a liking to me. Noticing this, I can only arrive at one conclusion. Is it being passed down? Why? How? By what principle? This has never happened before. When I handed Book Hyangwa the Naraigi of my 10th cycle, she displayed a powerful wave of intent. After all, an artifact from the past life had returned to her. But in this life, I haven't given the sword spear heavenly lord anything. At the very least, if she had extracted and consumed the light within me, I could have understood. But that didn't happen either. She is simply revealing a powerful heart to me out of nowhere. Underworld. I recall the words of the heavenly venerable of the underworld on how they had received something greater. No matter how much I think about it, it's strange. Did the heavenly venerable of the underworld do something? I have no way of knowing. Speak. What have you done to this immortal? And how can the curse you placed upon this immortal be lifted? Curse, you say? Immediately after, I raised the pure white 3 great ultimates behind my back. Kugagagugagu. In an instant, an overwhelming force bursts from my body, briefly pushing back the grasp of the sword spear heavenly lord. A futile effort. But it seems the gap between me and the sword spear heavenly lord is undeniable, as even the power of the pure white 3 great ultimates begins to be suppressed the moment she exerts a little more strength. But it doesn't matter. As long as there is even the slightest gap, I am confident I can escape. Heavenly escape. Shakak. I slice my own neck without hesitation and enter the domain of purity. This is different from before. I realize that I can maintain my consciousness in the domain of purity much more clearly than I could before. It must be thanks to this three great ultimates imbued with triple divinity. Triple divinity is protecting me within this domain of pure death. I get the feeling that if I become even more proficient in handling triple divinity, I may one day be able to travel anywhere through suicide, just like Hien Mu. But I am not yet at the level where I can freely wander this place and traverse the entire world through the domain of purity like Hien Mu. I feel the urgent need to leave this domain. If I remain here too long, I feel that I might truly die. Chuek. As I properly steady my mind, the contours of the world return, and a colorless world unfolds before my eyes. It is a galaxy cluster, far from where the sword spear Heavenly Lord was. Shururik. The colorless world returns to its original state, and my body once again settles into this world. Phew. I have escaped from right under the sword spear Heavenly Lord's nose using Heavenly Escape. Huarong. At that very moment, I see a massive explosion erupting in the distant galaxy cluster. Everything caught in the blast turns into silver-white light and is absorbed into the core of the explosion. The gaze of the sword spear Heavenly Lord, who has annihilated an entire galaxy cluster in an instant and returned it to her, locks onto me. Shiver. I immediately retrieve Hong Fan from my internal world. Hong Fan, go to the head realm and bring back the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. If it's too dangerous as a sacred vessel, find someone in the integration stage to act in your stead. Hurry, just go for now. Before Hong Fan can say anything, I grab his shoulder with all my strength and hurl him far away. Kugwagwagwang. Hong Fan tears through the dimensional veil of the astral realm and flies beyond the interdimensional void towards the head realm. Just then, Chwereric. I see the dimension moving before my eyes. This is a dimensional veil? It is a band. The bizarre band formed from a dimensional veil semi-transparently allows the starlight of the universe to pass through. Though I call it a band, its width is vast enough to encompass 6 entire stellar systems, and its length stretches across the entire universe. This is, just when I noticed this, pat it. Silver-white light gleams through the band, and the sword spear Heavenly Lord appears before me. I recognize the identity of that band. That's a winged garment. The sword spear Heavenly Lord's semi-transparent winged garment, made of a dimensional veil, has teleported her right before my eyes. A fleeting instant. From within that gap, the sword spear Heavenly Lord extends a silver-white sword towards me. It is sword-guided star rain. That sword-guided star rain is imbued with prophecy. If I am struck, I will be impaled by the sword and pinned against the surface of the fixed star behind me, unable to escape. I can't let that happen. Sword-guided star rain is fast. Within a fleeting moment, it flies towards me at a speed surpassing light and reaches my chest in an instant. Heeing. However, the pure white three great ultimates turns. The triple divinity dwelling within it aids me. I can see it. A fleeting moment. I move just barely faster than the sword spear Heavenly Lord's sword-guided star rain and sever my own neck. Shukwang. Once again, I use Heavenly Escape through suicide, escaping the grasp of the sword spear Heavenly Lord once more. Puak. Heek. I emerge from the domain of purity. This place is interdimensional void, the middle realm region. Wuwong. Beyond the interdimensional void, the astral realm comes into view, and far in the distance, something like a dimensional veil band soars towards me. The sword spear Heavenly Lord's winged garment is chasing me in a terrifying manner. Seeing this, I think to myself, even if I'm running, I must take everyone I can from the sun and moon heavenly domain. Even if the sword spear Heavenly Lord is scary, I can't abandon those I need to take with me. And to do that, I realize that I will have to take them through slightly forceful means this time, and let out a silent sigh. I'm sorry, everyone. Forgive me. Chwereric. I draw forth the power of a heaven upper immortal. The winged garment I gained upon rising to heaven upper immortal. Wuwong. Though not as massive as the sword spear Heavenly Lord's, my winged garment still spans about the width of a single planet and can stretch long enough to wrap around 5 entire stellar systems. My dimensional veil band appears behind me. This is my winged garment. I roughly understand how to use it by watching the sword spear Heavenly Lords. I have to imbue my prophecy into the winged garment. Winged garment, bring me the ones I name. Show them to me. Suppressing my guilt, I command my winged garment. Kidnap them and confine them within my body. Make them return to me. Go ye. Now go. Summon my servants. Seize those I need. Chwereric. My winged garment receives my command, instantly piercing through space-time and flying towards somewhere. Chwereric. The sword spear Heavenly Lord's winged garment arrives before my eyes. The winged garment emits a silver-white light, and through that light, The sword spear Heavenly Lord appears before my eyes again. Wong. I attempt to cut my own neck, but the sword spear Heavenly Lord, piercing through the fleeting instant, strongly grips my hand. You cannot escape from this immortal anyway. So, the sword spear Heavenly Lord's massive body bends toward me, issuing a warning. Do not die on purpose. Great Mountain. The jade of Yin-Yang and 5 elements gathers inside my head. At that moment, the sword spear Heavenly Lord's slash does not cut me, only slicing through the jade of Yin-Yang and 5 elements. But it is already too late. Splitting Emperor. Quagwagwang. She restrained her strength to avoid injuring me, but because of that, she failed to stop my Great Mountain Splitting Emperor. My head explodes on the spot, and I re-enter the domain of purity, escaping once again. Still, having seen Guak Am's splitting heaven mantra in the past life helped. Is it because I have witnessed the origin of the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique? My Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique has strengthened to the point where a half-hearted, restrained slash cannot sever it. Pat. The sword spear Heavenly Lord's winged garment appears before my eyes, and once again, I use Heavenly Escape through suicide. Thus, the game of tag with me and the sword spear Heavenly Lord through Heavenly Escape continues for quite some time. But as time passes, I realize the situation is becoming unfavorable for me. The Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. The entire Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain is gradually being filled with the sword spear Heavenly Lord's winged garment. As it is already a much narrower heavenly domain compared to others, the places to escape are steadily diminishing. If this continues, I'll be caught in the end. Please, don't be late. Hong Fan, winged garment. Shuckwhack. As I look at the sword spear Heavenly Lord, who has reached right in front of my eyes, I slit my throat. Wait, Seo Unhyun. Shuckwhack. Hold on. Quadaduk. Seo Unhyun. I want to talk with you. Quachajijik. Seo Unhyun. Gradually feeling that escape is becoming more difficult in the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain, I grit my teeth. Hurry. Bright Cold Realm. Human race territory. After the rampage of the ghost guiding Holy Mother Kong Minhee, the human race barely managed to re-establish themselves in the Sky Island region and are once again experiencing a golden age. However, what differs from before is that due to Kong Minhee's lingering influence, there has been an increase in those who cultivate ghost path methods or devilish path methods that devour ghostly energy. Human Race's Integration Stage Grand Cultivator Association. Seated at the leader position within the Grand Cultivator Association, the Grand Perfection Integration Stage Grand Cultivator, Junjae, laughs heartily as he descends onto one of the human race's sky islands, Azure Cold Island. At the summit of Azure Spirit Mountain, the highest mountain range on Azure Cold Island. There, someone is about to face their advancement, heavenly tribulation. With this, our human race will walk the path of revival once more. Ha ha. His face is filled with deep pride and satisfaction. The reason is because of the 2 muscular men standing atop the peak of Azure Spirit Mountain. Junjae flies towards them, looking down at them with a pleased expression as he speaks. Ha ha. Azure Tiger Saint, have you finished your preparations to face the heavenly tribulation? Yes, Association Leader. I am fully prepared. Good, good. And June EOM, you are well prepared as well, aren't you? The one he addresses, aside from Azure Tiger Saint, is another Grand Perfection 4-axis stage cultivator and a descendant of Junjae, Jun EOM. Born with the greatest talent among Junjae's descendants, he underwent harsh training under Junjae's guidance from childhood. Once he reached a certain age, Junjae sent him to the Azure Heaven Creation Sect, the most outstanding cultivation sect within the human race Grand Alliance. Azure Tiger Saint, in his usual bold manner, accepted Jun EOM as his personal disciple and trained him with the utmost care among all disciples of the Azure Heaven Creation Sect. As a result, despite being a mere 1,300 years old, Jun EOM has reached the Grand Perfection 4-axis stage at an unbelievably young age. Though this grandfather could not obtain the 5 blessings axis for you, you still built your axes through the orthodox 5 elements axis, so there should be no issue with your advancement. Therefore, you must become an integration stage Grand Cultivator. If it's you, you can surely aim to become a star-shattering stage esteemed one. Yes, Ancestor. Spineless brat. Once you reach the integration stage, you will have to prepare yourself thoroughly to inherit my innate true method. Azure Tiger Saint, I leave him in your hands. Azure Tiger Saint meets Junjae's eyes and nods. Though his words are cold, Azure Tiger Saint understands. Junjae's affection for his descendant is undeniable. Feeling the weight of Junjae's presence, Azure Tiger Saint calls out to his new disciple. Now then, let us begin, Jun EOM. Yes, Master. Under the watchful eyes of his ever-strict ancestor, Junjae, and his master, Azure Tiger Saint, who dragged his cultivation forward with insane training methods, June EOM challenges the integration stage advancement together with Azure Tiger Saint. Immediately after, Kururum, Master and Disciple begin facing the Heavenly Tribulation. Heavenly Tribulation surges from all 6 directions, striking Azure Tiger Saint and June EOM. Azure Tiger Saint completely blocks the 6-directional Heavenly Tribulation using the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method. However, despite having learned not only the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method, but also the special methods taught by June EOM's body wavers here and there under the force of the Heavenly Tribulation. Then, at a certain moment, Uawea, Master, Ancestor, save me. I can't do this. June EOM rushes towards Azure Tiger Saint and clings to him, startling Azure Tiger Saint. And no, June EOM, use the methods I taught you properly. Do you fear this Heavenly Tribulation more than my fists? More than the beatings from your senior brothers and sisters, the lava fountains, the water torture, and the gold-tooth sharks? You must endure. If you use the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method properly, you can. But June EOM is already past the point of enduring. Kwawa, during advancement, it is not only the Heavenly Tribulation that falls. Entities known as Heart Heavenly Demons also crawl out from the depths of the mind to gnaw and eat the cultivator. Though Heart Heavenly Demons become prominent starting from the star-shattering stage, they are not absent in the integration stage. It is just that only the very weak Heart Heavenly Demons appear. However, black smoke is rising from June EOM's head. Forced his entire life to become an integration stage grand cultivator, living like a puppet, shoved into the Azure Heaven creation sect by his ancestor, and subjected to insane training methods, June EOM's heart demon have erupted. With his mind overtaken by heart demons, June EOM is no longer in any condition to withstand the Heavenly Tribulation. June EOM, get a hold of yourself. Azure Tiger Saint roars, and June shouts to the point his eyes roll back. Azure Tiger Saint, if EOMA dies, I will annihilate the Azure Heaven creation sect. Protect EOMA. Someone like you could die and no one would care, but EOMA has the potential to become a star-shattering stage esteemed one. Azure Tiger Saint. At June roar, Azure Tiger Saint narrows his eyes. He grits his teeth. Kalop, Kururum. Azure Tiger Saint transforms into a giant of starlight. At the same time, he pulls June EOM into his embrace. The Heavenly Tribulation rampages wildly, and June EOM's Heavenly Tribulation strikes Azure Tiger Saint with even greater ferocity. Do not be afraid. I will protect you. June EOM, consumed by his heart demon, sobs. That's a lie. You're only doing this because you fear Ancestor. No, I do not fear your Ancestor. Azure Tiger Saint clenches his teeth. The Heavenly Tribulation strikes down upon him even more viciously, and watching from the outside, June pupils tremble madly. I am your master. What reason or fear is there in a master protecting his disciple? Believe in me. You can overcome this. And master, June EOM's eyes widen. Just then, secret art. Temporary name change. Yi Shri Gamin. Azure Tiger Saint senses something flow out of June EOM's body and seep into his own. Simultaneously, Azure Tiger Saint's Heavenly Tribulation intensifies at least threefold. Azure Tiger Saint's eyes snap open wide. June EOM's Heavenly Tribulation vanishes. What? Quarrurum. Outside the Heavenly Tribulation, June clasps his hands together, his expression twisted with madness. June seems to be using some kind of secret art, burning his own blood as an offering. Behind him, the form A Taiji in the shape of a fetus very faintly emerges. Now, my lifespan doesn't have much time left. EOMA is the future of our bloodline. He is my successor. At the same time, he is the future of the human race and must serve as our progenitor's revival vessel in times of emergency. So, instead of EOMA, you, as his master, die in his place. Azure Tiger Saint. Even if you perish, EOMA must exist for the future of humanity to exist. Quarrurum. Terrifying Heavenly Tribulations strike upon Azure Tiger Saint's body. Azure Tiger Saint writhes in agony beneath the pillar of light. Then, all of a sudden, Pat, Hyun Suk Ah, Seo Unhyun. Azure Tiger Saint's shadow finally dissipates between the pillars of light. Chi 3I. June EOM and Azure Tiger Saint's integration stage advancement, Heavenly Tribulation ends. June EOM, overwhelmed by the Heavenly Tribulation and his rampaging heart Heavenly Demon, failed his advancement, and Azure Tiger Saint vanished within the Heavenly Tribulation. Clicking his tongue, June approaches June EOM. You stupid brat. It's a relief it ended with Azure Tiger Saint's sacrifice. You almost died. Not only did we lose a valuable asset that is Azure Tiger Saint, but you nearly died as well. Anyway, now that we've found the problem, I will prepare elixirs and dharma treasures to suppress your heart demon. Focus on preparing for your next advancement. He was my master. I know, but you were more important. He had other disciples as well. He had the Azure Heaven Creation sect. And yet, silence. What do other disciples matter? What does the Azure Heaven Creation sect matter? Junjie suddenly pauses, recalling the terrifying beings connected to the Azure Heaven Creation sect, causing his body to flinch. But he quickly regains his composure and presses down on Junioem. It's already been a long time since there was any news about them. Even Sacred Master Baek Woon found the traces of the Azure Heaven Creation sect and those individuals unpleasant. Perhaps this may have been a good opportunity to erase them, especially since the Azure Heaven Creation sect is connected to the Sword Devil Seo Eunhyun. I've heard enough about the so-called Three Great Calamities. But, just then, Junjie looks up at the sky. Jun Eom does the same. In an instant, the celestial energy shifts. And at that moment, juk, the sky splits open. And what is seen through the split sky is a single gigantic eye. Immediately after, Huaruruk, the entire human race territory bursts into flames. Author's note. The original title was Kidnapping, Confinement, Brainwashing, Return to the but I thought it was a bit too provocative, so I made some adjustments. Chapter 611, Kidnapper, one who returns to the 2. Kwawa, Hukawea. The entire human race writhes in agony as glass, true fire engulfs them. Especially in the areas where the eye is directed, the flames burn even more fiercely. Azure Cold Island is right there. The disciples of the Azure Heaven Creation sect revel in the flames, bathing in the glass true fire, while Jun Eom grits his teeth, enduring the pain it brings. But Junjie is different. Hukawea, Junjie's entire body, is transforming. His whole body transforms into flames of glass as he screams in pain and terror. No. What is this? Kwawa, Jun Eom, witnessing the sight, subconsciously tries to look up at the sky. Seeing this, Junjie clenches his teeth and rushes toward him, pressing his head down. Cuff. No, don't look. You must not look at them. Cuff. Jun Eoma. Junjie, his expression sorrowful, begins to dissolve into glass flames and is absorbed into the sky. I leave the rest to you. Gradually, his expression turns blank as he is sucked even faster towards the sky. Ritu. Jun Eom, hearing his final words, stands frozen in confusion, staring blankly into the void. Return, Gui, to thee. Huaruruk. At last, the dreadful eye looming in the sky vanishes. And Jun Eom, having witnessed that existence, is treated as if he has undergone heavenly tribulation and advances to the integration stage. Jun Eom rises to his feet, that being bestowed wisdom upon him. Sword Devil. It is the wisdom of the entity his ancestor, Junjie, had taught him about, the Sword Devil Seo Eunhyun. He now understands what situation has befallen Junjie. According to the wisdom granted by that being, it is not such a terrible situation. By returning, to the Sword Devil Seo Eunhyun, who was once called one of the three great calamities of the human race, he will now live a far better life as their subordinate. Even the lifespan issue that Junjie had worried about is resolved. Having just witnessed his ancestor being kidnapped in an instant, Jun Eom can only stare blankly at the sky. Am I free? The two figures who had oppressed him his entire life, Junjie and Azure Tiger Saint, have vanished today, one within the heavenly tribulation and the other by returning to a true immortal. Jun Eom has gained the freedom he desired, but having acquired it so suddenly, he has no idea what to do. Amidst panic and confusion, he simply collapses onto the ground. Nether Ghost Realm. There, someone practicing the ghost path method looks up at the sky. What is this? The celestial energy. Just then, just like in the bright cold realm, the sky splits open, and a gigantic eye appears. Kwawa, the ghost path method cultivator, screams as he instantly returns, Gui, to that being. The eye then disappears from the sky of the Nether Ghost Realm once again. Such events occur throughout the entire Sun and Moon heavenly domain. Seo Eunhyun's winged garment drifts across the Sun and Moon heavenly domain, delivering Seo Eunhyun's gaze to various locations. It's done. I've secured UI, and I've got Junjie to use when I head to the Elephant Nose heavenly domain. And I read through history while gritting my teeth towards Junjie, who has now entered my body. So it was you who pushed Azure Tiger Saint to his death? You bastard. But just as I am about to direct my anger toward Junjie, I catch a strange scene within his past. The moment Azure Tiger Saint underwent the heavenly tribulation. What's that? Junjae hadn't noticed, but the beings present at that moment were 4. Azure Tiger Saint, Junjae, and Azure Tiger Saint's new disciple, Jun Eoam. And one more entity. A deer. It is a white deer. The deer approaches Azure Tiger Saint as if unaffected by the heavenly tribulation and then vanishes. Immediately after, Azure Tiger Saint disappears as well. What in the world? I am taken aback, unable to comprehend it. Wasn't Azure Tiger Saint killed by the heavenly tribulation? Azure Tiger Saint wasn't obliterated by the heavenly tribulation. Instead, he disappeared along with that deer-like something. That too towards a place I can't even begin to identify. Did some higher existence take him away? There's nothing I can verify right now. I have something to say? Please. Puckwhack. I continue maneuvering my winged garment while fleeing from the sword spear Heavenly Lord. Next, the winged garment reveals the location of Hamjin. Through it, my gaze reaches where Hamjin is. The sky above Hamjin's planet opens, and my eye stares directly at him. Hamjin meets my gaze and calmly turns into glass true fire as he naturally returns, Gui, to me. Next is Yeo Y. Listen to my words, Seo Unhyun. While my true body keeps the sword spear Heavenly Lord occupied, my winged garment heads towards cedarwood painting. Blink. The sky of cedarwood painting opens, and I look upon Yeo Y. Kyukyeog. Yeo Y stares at me in shock before speaking with a face of disbelief. In no way, that's a winged garment. See, could it be Heaven Immortal? Recognizing me as a Heaven Upper Immortal at once, Yeo Y lets out a hollow laugh before charging straight at me. Ha. As expected, my judgment was never wrong. I, Yeo Y, pledge my loyalty to my master. Horurik. Yeo Y instantly transforms into glass true fire and naturally returns, Gui, to me. The last one is Golden Shaking Bird. I'm telling you to wait. Puckwhack. Chwerarik. My winged garment carries my command and swiftly moves to the edge of the sun and moon heavenly domain, to the place where Yang Sujin's ring finger, the lightning sacred sea, is located. And through my winged garment, I transmit my will to Golden Shaking Bird there. I inform her about John Myung-hoon, and as Golden Shaking Bird is half in doubt, Seo Unhyun, I'm telling you to listen to me. Flash. Quagwagwagwang. With both my arms gripped by the sword spear Heavenly Lord, I am slammed onto the surface of a planet. Oh no, I'm caught. There's no time left. There is no time to kindly explain things to Golden Shaking Bird. I transmit my power towards my winged garment. Kurururum. At the far edge of the universe, I sense my winged garment absorbing my power and wrapping around the lightning sacred sea. Golden Shaking Bird convulses, but there's no choice. Chwerarik. My winged garment envelopes the entire lightning sacred sea and, regardless of Golden Shaking Bird's convulsions, connects to the lightning sacred sea through the extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens technique and extracts it. Seo Unhyun, there is something I need to say to you. What is it? Just what exactly is it that you have instilled into me? I swallow. Hurry. Golden Shaking Bird resists, but at last, the lightning sacred sea is completely pulled out from the sun and moon heavenly domain. Now, then, my winged garment transfers the lightning sacred sea into my body. That is, I slow my speech as much as possible, trying to buy time. Immediately after, Pat, my winged garment swiftly heads back towards the middle realm zone. A short while later, from the distance, I see Hong Fan, who has taken the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. My winged garment swallows Hong Fan whole and transfers him into my body, and only then do I realize that my business in the sun and moon heavenly domain is finally over. For now, I cannot tell you. What? Jiuk. My body instantly turns into a hazy mist, and from within the mist, a familiar figure emerges. It is Inyi, drawing the bowstring. Inyi shoots an arrow straight at the sword spear Heavenly Lord's chest. The immortal art sun shooting strikes her chest. Even the sword spear Heavenly Lord, one of the Radiant's 8 immortals, flinches from being struck by sun shooting and momentarily pulls away from me. Seizing that fleeting instant, I cut my neck. With this, it's over. Shakak. Wait, Seo Unhyun. I said wait. The next place I appear is the teleportation formation leading to the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Pot. As soon as I exert my will, my winged garment, flying from afar, lands neatly upon me. How incredibly convenient, this winged garment. Draped in my winged garment, I glance behind me. Kiing. The jade of Inyang and 5 elements gathers in my hand. I begin collapsing the entire dimension containing the teleportation formation with the phenomena extinguishing mantra. Kururum. The entrance to the teleportation formation on this side crumbles. At the same time, I see the sword spear Heavenly Lord flying towards me from afar. Seo Unhyun. I apologize, but let us meet again next time. Well then, I shall take my leave. With that, I kidnap those I need from the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain and depart for the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Heavenly King Heavenly Domain. Flash. I arrive at the teleportation formation there. Who goes there? And after swiftly killing the bothersome gatekeeping true immortal in a single strike, I reveal my true form. Kurururum. My true form as the immortal beast candle shadow emerges. Before long, familiar true immortals appear. How dare you? Do you think you can invade Radiance Hall and walk away unscathed? RTOC. I open my mouth towards a familiar one among the bothersome true immortals. Eek. Why, you bastard? What are you? A true immortal I met in the past cycle who walks the same immortal Tao of the mountain, San, as I do. I need this one. Gulp. After wrapping the true immortal, who walks the immortal Tao of the mountain, with my winged garment, and sealing them away, I swallow them in my candle shadow form and imprison them in my inner world. Seeing this, the true immortals of Radiance Hall begin convulsing in madness. That bastard ate an upper immortal of Radiance Hall. Look at the power radiating from him. That power is. It's the immortal Tao of the mountain. A devil immortal influenced by the great mountain supreme deity has been born. Capture him. Do not let him escape. It seems that the sight of me consuming a fellow immortal touches their reverse scale, reminding them of the great mountain supreme deity. Numerous true immortals charge at me even more ferociously than in my previous life. And perhaps because my perspective has shifted, I can sense even immortal lord level and great net immortal level beings in the distance. However, I am not particularly worried. I have no further business with you all. So then, farewell. Heavenly escape. Shuckwhack. I instantly transform into my transformation form, then cut my neck, committing suicide. Thus, by using heavenly escape to enter the domain of purity, I very easily shake off the pursuit of the true immortals of Radiance Hall. In this life, I won't be caught so easily. At the end of my last life, I saw hope. The hope of severing regression. Thus, my first priority in this life is longevity. I will live long, accumulate as much power as possible, reach the realm of great net immortal, and seize a definitive starting point to severing regression. And before that even happens, like hell will I let myself be caught by the likes of you. Unlike my past lives, I will not get entangled with supreme deities or heavenly venerables. Instead, I will live as long as possible, elevate my cultivation to the realm of great net immortal, and grasp the hope of breaking free from regression. That is the greatest objective of this life. Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. Gazing at the collapsed teleportation formation there, the sword spear Heavenly Lord trembles. Seo Eunhyun. She strokes her mask as she continues speaking. There are too many things I need to ask you. What are these memories that are surfacing within her? Why does she have recollections of feeling affection for someone in the head realm that she has not been to? She must ask him about it. But soon, as she trembles, the sword spear Heavenly Lord sharply fixes her gaze towards a specific point. She peers beyond the dimension, into a deep and even deeper dimension, towards a darkness where no light reaches. Is it you? Underworld. No answer comes from the darkness. You? What have you done to me? Joining hands with the Ender. Still, there is no reply. The darkness only wavers, as if mocking the sword spear Heavenly Lord. Clutching at her chest, the sword spear Heavenly Lord growls. I will find the answers. What these memories are, what this strange feeling boiling within my chest is, and I will expose your sins one by one, making you all pay for your mockery of Radiance Hall. After gazing at the underworld for some time, the sword spear Heavenly Lord leaves the Sun and Moon Heavenly Domain. With the teleportation formation destroyed, she has to cross over to the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain on her own. The depths of the underworld. The deepest, darkest place. There, a being carries a white wheel upon their back. That ancient and dark being lets out a slow chuckle. Then, whispering so no one can overhear, they mutter, "Stay vigilant, O Regressor." That being looks up at Seo Eunhyun, who arrived in the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain, slaughtered the heaven immortals there, and kidnapped a few, confining them within his body. Those of heavenly venerable rank are beginning to awaken. The being, known to some as the oldest one, looks over the many seats scattered across the Sumera three heavens great thousand world, as well as their seat holders, and murmurs softly. Chapter 612, A Hungry World 1. Chwerarak. Using heavenly escape, I arrive at the edge of the Heavenly King Heavenly Domain after several days. I reach the teleportation formation leading to the bearing tree Heavenly Domain. A lot has changed from before. Setting aside the regression point, the fact that the sword spear Heavenly Lord can now perceive me is an enormous problem. I can no longer let my guard down under the gaze of Radiance Hall like before. As I step onto the teleportation formation heading to the bearing tree Heavenly Domain, I contemplate. I need a different approach from now on. If I want to live long and grow stronger, I have to hide in a deep place. There was clear longing in the voice of the sword spear, Heavenly Lord calling out to me. Had this been before, I wouldn't have been able to ignore that longing. I would have at least listened to some of what the sword spear Heavenly Lord had to say. But now I know. Thanks to Meg Jean, I now know of their insane, ultimate goal that only a select few in Radiance Hall are aware of. And judging by her actions thus far, I can tell that the sword spear Heavenly Lord is truly and sincerely devoted to that insane ultimate goal. The reason I tried to erase the immortal cultivation system a little radically and self-righteously in my past life must have been because I was influenced by the light. In the end, their ultimate goal must have been subtly melded within that light. I, too, momentarily resonated with their will. Recalling the ultimate goal I heard from Meg Jean sends shivers throughout my body. Even thinking about it again, isn't it a truly insane goal? And Meg Jean, who remained in Radiance Hall even after learning of that goal for the sake of justice. He was really quite something. No, should I say he was crazy as well? Flash. As I blink, the scenery of the bearing tree heavenly domain unfolds before my eyes before I know it. And the moment I reveal myself in the bearing tree heavenly domain, yet another familiar presence rushes toward me. It is Glass Peacock. Damn it, what even are you? My goodness, to think someone like you exists in this world. Why did this immortal not know? Why did I not know until now? See, come here. Come here. I will make you happy. Letting out a faint sigh, I scatter the canvas of myriad forms and connections around me. Keying. A pure white 3 great ultimates appears behind me. Immortal art. Glass Avidya advancement light. A radiant white light crosses through distant spacetime, flying towards me. I calmly draw forth the figure of Yi from the canvas of myriad forms and connections and aim at the incoming Glass Avidya advancement light. Immortal art. Sun shooting. Tuong. The arrow imbued with the power of filling the heavens governing view and the impermanence sword pierces through the Glass Avidya advancement light, tearing through space, and shoots towards Glass Peacock. Glass Peacock attempts to evade using the strength of explosion, but I open my eyes. Fate Prophecy, Yiming Yuyan. History Revision, Li Shi Gabcan. Triple Divinity, San Xinxing. A scene of Glass Peacock being skewered by the arrow of sun shooting is imbued. History Revision counters Glass Peacock's revision, forcibly changing all possible outcomes of evasion into failure. Tukwong. The arrow of sun shooting plunges directly into Glass Peacock's chest. The power of Brahma, nature momentarily overlays filling the heavens governing view onto Glass Peacock's mental world. Endless failures are imprinted into Glass Peacock's mind in an instant, and Narayana nature maintains those moments of failure. Finally, the power of Mahesvara nature extinguishes all the power of explosion within Glass Peacock and momentarily erases their will to resist. Through prophecy and history revision, I successfully land my attack. Then, with triple divinity, I infuse my immortal art into Glass Peacock, forcing them to experience endless defeat. Uguguk. Glass Peacock twitches, impaled by my arrow and their body skewered against a nearby fixed star. If it were the main body, I wouldn't be so sure, but a mere clone at most at the great net immortal level isn't that difficult anymore. It's just when I think so. Uguguk. What in the world is this? Marvelous. My goodness, to think such an enlightenment exists. Moreover, revision and prophecy at the same time? You're a heaven-earth upper immortal. Glass Peacock appears strangely excited. What a pitiful thing. You don't even realize the flaws of the path of heaven-earth upper immortal, do you? I shall embrace and comfort you. If it is a curse that splits your personality, then through communion with this immortal, it can be sufficiently delayed. Even if your personality fragments, if I completely violate both. Just imagining it is far too delightful. Come here. Hurry, come. Kururum. Though Glass Peacock has clearly taken a hit from my strike, from the way they move, they neither seem to be in much pain nor significantly injured. They'll break free before long. I need to get to John Myong-hoon before that happens. Clicking my tongue, I gather Glass True Fire in both hands and hurl another immortal art of sun shooting at Glass Peacock. The arrow of Glass True Fire embeds itself into Glass Peacock once more, and their entire body ignites in its flames. That should buy me a bit more time, right? However, Glass Peacock only seems to enjoy it more, so I hurriedly head towards the interdimensional void. I ignore Glass Peacock's voice that's filled with madness, echoing behind me. Damn it, this brat. Just what attack did he do to me? My body. It keeps heating up. They sure are impressive. Rather than suffering from the pain imbued in Glass True Fire, they recognize the enlightenment within it and grow excited. Regardless, it is still something worthy of respect. Letting out a sigh, I leave Glass Peacock behind and head for the Divine Thunder Realm. Upon arriving, I let John Myung-hoon and Golden Shaking Bird meet. This time, unlike in my past life, Golden Shaking Bird does not take a reckless gamble, but instead assimilates obediently with the Great Desolate Path and activates it. Kururung. Entering the domain of lightning, I wait for Zhongli. Now Zhongli should come, delivering the will of the Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity, right? Sure enough, just as John Myung-hoon and I prepare to move to another heavenly domain, Kururung, time seems to slow, and a familiar presence begins to enter the surroundings. Zhongli is trying to descend. At that moment, I take out the pure white wheel. Kigajijigik. The power of the wheel is the regulation of causality. History rewriting and similar abilities are merely additional effects born from the extreme application of this principle. Through the arrangement of causality, I can return the powers of other immortals, whether authority, history revision, prophecy, or immortal art, back to their original state. Kugagugagu. The outer edge of the pure white three great ultimates is encircled by the wheel. The white wheel devours the immense force emanating from the pure white three great ultimates and begins radiating a soft starlight. Kiririk. You. I can sense Zhongli, who notices the wheel in the midst of descending, flinching from beyond. That's definitely the underworlds. Wait, Seo Eunhyun. It's nice to see you, Zhongli. Now that our long-awaited reunion is over, go back. I speak coldly as I begin to send Zhongli, who is trying to descend into the Great Desolate Path, back to her original place. If it's with a liberated Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity, it might be another matter. But do you think I would fear a mere projection of Zhongli in her current state? I cannot allow Zhongli to descend into this space. Otherwise, the Heavenly Punishment Supreme Deity will once again subtly divine descent into Zhongli's body and deliver a prophecy that will lead us to free them. I will not let myself be swayed again in this life. Wait. Just listen for a moment. Seo Eunhyun. Zhongli shouts urgently from beyond the dimension. Kwachajijik. A rift of lightning tears through the void, and a hand formed of lightning forces its way through the dimensional gate. John Myung-hoon flinches in shock. This time, since Zhongli is hastily descending due to my interference, she fails to control time, allowing Golden Shaking Bird to notice her presence as well. You bitch. A filthy mutt dares to target Master again. Golden Shaking Bird begins to control the Great Desolate Path. Once again, Zhongli is pushed back beyond the rift. John Myung-hoon, too, crackles with red lightning and reveals his fury. Zhengli. Perhaps because he has now become a true immortal, he no longer feels any fear in uttering Zhongli's name. He tightly grips a spear of red lightning. Kwachajijik. The lightning spear soars towards Zhongli, and though Zhongli's barely outstretched arm is pushed back beyond the dimensional gate. Woo-woo. I squeeze out all my strength and activate the wheel. It feels as if a storm is raging. Swept up in the storm surging from the wheel, Zhongli cannot cross over despite using all her strength. To make matters worse, the lightning dimensional gate she had kicked open begins to close. At least listen to me. Zhongli screams desperately, but I click my tongue and respond. No, I won't listen. I don't intend to listen. Go back already. Eek. Kugagugagu. The combined forces of Golden Shaking Bird, John Myung-hoon, and the wheel, now strengthened by my newly acquired three great ultimates, continue to intensify. Jiung. Barely clinging on beyond the dimension, Zhongli is ultimately flung away. Kwachajijik. At the same time, Golden Shaking Bird hurriedly closes Zhongli's dimensional gate that had formed inside the Great Desolate Path. Master, Elder, Zhongli's main body is directly approaching this place. We need to flee to any heavenly domain at once. Though we have repelled Zhongli's projection, her enraged main body seems to be coming here in person. John Myung-hoon looks at me and asks, Seo Eunhyun, where do we go? I stroke my chin and think. The Bearing Tree heavenly domain is not an option. Glass Peacock saw my power and might have even brought their main body there. Excluding Sun and Moon, Bearing Tree, and Heavenly King, I think of the other heavenly domains. The Good Sight heavenly domain has Hai and Mu guarding it. We do need to retrieve Kim Young-hoon from the outer sea, but honestly, I can always call Hai and Mu from the interdimensional void. And since the Good Sight heavenly domain is practically Hai and Mu's front yard, if she ever decides to kill us, we wouldn't even be able to resist. The Good Sight heavenly domain is out. The Earth Boundary heavenly domain is also a no-go. Although Kim Yun is there, just thinking about what happened in my past life at the hands of the Liberation Supreme Deity makes my teeth tremble. Unless I break into Liberation Peach Garden Village from the outside and rescue her, getting trapped inside with her and trying to break out together is sheer madness. And regarding the Earth Axis heavenly domain, who knows what the Great Mountain Supreme Deity has done to it? So that's out. In that case, the only remaining options are the Twin Holding and Elephant Nose heavenly domains. Elephant Nose would be a good place to hide, but I recall receiving an immortal title from the naming supreme deity Haiyan Rang and giving them a portion of my desire in return. Damn it, it feels unsettling. Meeting a supreme deity with whom I have direct ties means carrying the risk of being manipulated by them at any moment, which leaves me with an uneasy feeling. This won't do. I can't be blindly manipulated by a supreme deity again like in my past life. Even if I go, it will only be after making thorough preparations. Because of Bong Mayong in my previous life, my distrust of supreme deities has reached its peak. Then the only option left is the twin holding heavenly domain. I grit my teeth and shout, head for the twin holding heavenly domain. Golden shaking bird. To the twin holding heavenly domain. Karurum. We move through the world of thunder and lightning towards our destination. Before long, Quachajijik. We emerge within the twin holding heavenly domain, from a lighting tribulation striking a star-shattering stage cultivator. After doing my best to ensure that the star-shattering esteemed one doesn't see us and die, I take a deep breath. For now, let's get some distance. We don't know what Zhongli might try to do through the tribulation. Agreed. Leaving the star-shattering esteemed one behind to endure the tribulation, I survey the twin holding heavenly domain with John Myonghun. Perur. Golden shaking bird shifts from the form of the great desolate path into a hummingbird and flies towards us before transforming back into her human form. HM. Twin holding heavenly domain. It's been a while. You've been here before? Yes, well, the twin holding and heavenly king heavenly domains are the two most active heavenly domains in the Sumeru Three Heavens Great Thousand World, after all. This is also where you, Master, shared union with Glass Peacock in your past life. Ahem. Well, anyway, this is fortunate. John Myonghun clears his throat before speaking. If you've been here before, then guide us. What kind of place is this, and why is it one of the most active? Yes. First, the fastest way to understand that would be to go meet the ruler of the twin holding heavenly domain. Would you like to go see them together? I flinch in surprise at her words. You mean to go meet the swallowing heaven supreme deity? Yes. Well, that would be the case. Isn't that dangerous? The reason I avoided other heavenly domains was because their rulers were supreme deities or heavenly venerables with ties to me. Heavenly punishment supreme deity, liberation supreme deity, heavenly venerable of void, radiance, great mountain. They all tried to use me as a pawn. I don't know much about the naming supreme deity, but I can't let my guard down with them either. Only the swallowing heaven supreme deity seemed uninterested in us, which was why I chose this place. And now she's telling us to go and meet them? Just as I'm about to refuse outright, Golden Shaking Bird's next words make me pause in confusion. Regardless of what happened, since we've entered a heavenly domain, it's only proper to pay our respects to its ruler, is it not? Please follow me. The swallowing heaven supreme deity is a specialty of the twin holding heavenly domain, after all. Even shattering star esteemed ones, true persons, and true immortals from other heavenly domains come here just to witness them. Ho-hut. Something about the way she speaks seems off. John Myonghun also looks puzzled, so Golden Shaking Bird giggles and grabs our hands, pulling us forward. Well, you'll both understand when you see for yourselves. Let's go? Since we're already here, we have to at least meet the swallowing heaven supreme deity. Woo-woo. It's just when she is about to use the ground shrinking technique. Gijigik. Suddenly, the direction of the attraction force she is exerting twists unpredictably. In the next moment, Quong. We are abruptly yanked away to somewhere in an instant. It's fortunate that I was prepared and managed to disperse the impact. Otherwise, John Myonghun and I would have suffered a huge shock. Hey, Golden Shaking Bird. What just happened? It looked like your ground shrinking technique got distorted just now. Ha, of course. In the twin holding heavenly domain, all movement techniques that rely on attraction force are forbidden, after all. Here, no matter where you try to bend space to move, you'll be forcefully pulled to this location instead. Golden Shaking Bird points towards somewhere. The moment John Myonghun and I see it, our eyes widen. Since the ground shrinking technique doesn't work in the twin holding heavenly domain, long-distance travel is only possible through the explosions of Earth upper immortals. As a result, this place has become a paradise for countless Earth immortals. Now, allow me to introduce you to the greatest specialty of the twin holding heavenly domain, the one who distorts all attraction forces towards themselves. One of the two governing immortals who is an innate supreme deity, their majesty, the swallowing heaven supreme deity, Haiyan Real. Kugugugugu. What stands there is a massive darkness. All light is being sucked into it. All of a sudden, I realize it is a hole. But not just any hole. I feel an overwhelming degeneracy pressure from it. That thing is. My eyes bulge wide. A black hole. And not just any black hole, but a supermassive one large enough to match 5 entire superclusters. I turn to look at the figure that has suddenly appeared between John Myung-hoon, Golden Shaking Bird, and myself. You, the swallowing heaven supreme deity Hyen Rial, an innate supreme deity, and an ancient remnant. A mantra left behind by a terrifying entity called the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King. She twirls a strand of her blue hair around her fingers and smiles at me. At the same time, they say one of the two only governing immortals that possesses no reason. I hesitate, unsure of what to say to her. Then, recalling the words of John Myung-hoon from my past life, I open my mouth to speak. But regretfully, the one who makes the first move is her. Welcome to the swallowing heaven supreme deity's twin holding heavenly domain. Seo Eunhyun, I've missed you. Me too, Kong Mini. How many tens of thousands of years have passed since I became a true immortal? After such an endless long time, seeing a truly old comrade again brings a bright smile to my face. If you missed me, then help me brush my hair. It's been getting tangled a lot lately. She snaps her fingers, and in an instant, we are transported to somewhere in the depths of a deep and dark darkness. This place it's the same dark space I saw when I last tried to check on Kong Minhee's whereabouts. So this place wasn't the underworld? I distinctly remember her being here before, learning how to draw Tenghua. As I remain puzzled, Kong Minhee gives me a faint smile and sits down, pulling out a comb. Listen while you brush. Surik. I naturally begin combing her hair. John Myung-hoon sits down indifferently, stroking Jin Sohei's hand like always. This place is a mysterious space, connected to various extraordinary realms, like the deepest depths of the underworld, the outer sea, and even the inner sanctum of Radiance Hall. At her next words, I flinch in surprise, and Golden Shaking Bird, trembling with horror, lets out a shrieking scream. We're inside the swallowing heaven supreme deity's stomach. Chapter 613, A Hungry World 2. Master, we must run away. Walla. This devil hag. Her goal was to throw us into the jaws of the swallowing heaven supreme deity and kill us all along. Golden Shaking Bird begins to have a fit, clinging to John Myung-hoon while screaming. Kong Minhee bites down on her long pipe, as if her head hurts watching the scene. Who? What's that now? Is that your pet? John Myung-hoon. There's a reason we're together. John Myung-hoon speaks while pushing the Golden Shaking Bird away. That one might be a bit violent, even breaking my leg and all, but still, she is my comrade. She didn't drag us in here just to kill us, so calm down. No. Master's leg. This devil hag dares. At John Myung-hoon's words, Golden Shaking Bird seems to calm down, but soon growls at Kong Minhee with fiery eyes. Who? Kong Minhee clicks her tongue as she exhales a stream of blue smoke. Calm down. You're safe as long as you stay with me. Hui. The blue smoke she exhales swirls around us. And I notice that her smoke draws a circle as it encircles this dark space. This is some power operating in this space forms a circle, protecting us. Flawless mantra. It's the essence that composes the swallowing heaven supreme deity, and at the same time, it's also a direct channel to the heavenly venerable of the underworld. I'm using the flawless mantra to make us recognized as part of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. So as long as the flawless mantra is active, we can stay inside here as long as we want. She looks at me and continues. You could probably walk around here even without me. You've learned the flawless mantra, after all. Seems like it. Somehow, this darkness feels familiar. It feels as though the darkness itself is welcoming me. And even if I step outside that circle where Kong Minhee's power is at work, I feel like I'd be fine. It must be because I've learned the flawless mantra. Anyway, Kong Minhee. After brushing all her hair, I tuck the comb into her hair and ask. You're not your main body, are you? Where's your main body? That's right. I sensed you guys coming and sent a temporary clone. My main body is deeper inside the swallowing heaven supreme deity. In the place connected to the heavenly venerable of the underworld, I'm learning something special from them. It seems she is learning how to draw a Tenghua. What exactly are you learning? That, I can't tell you. It's highly confidential. I see. In that case, can I ask one favor? What kind of favor? Let me meet the heavenly venerable of the underworld. At my words, Kong Minhee's eyes widen. John Myung-hoon also looks over, eyes brimming with interest. There's something I need to request. I think of Kim Yun, trapped in Liberation Peach Garden Village, and Kim Young-hoon, wandering in the outer sea. But Kong Minhee speaks with a hardened face. No. Why? Why not? You, judging by your winged garment. You're an upper immortal, aren't you? That's right. At the level of an upper immortal, you can't meet them. A faint fear lingers in her eyes. They want to capture all of us Enders. At your level, you'll definitely be caught and sealed. I absolutely cannot allow it. Then why haven't you been sealed? That's simply because they value my talent highly. There's no greater reason. Kong Minhee places a hand on her chest and continues speaking. They said all the strength and talent of us Enders merely flow from something called fate. But the talent I possess, excluding my fate, still reaches a level comparable to an Ender's, which is why they are specially nurturing me as a candidate for a judge. No such exception applies to the other Enders. Especially, she speaks with a bitter gaze. When you advanced to true immortal, I admired your talent, Seo Eun-hyun, and asked the heavenly venerable of the underworld. I asked if they couldn't take you as their disciple alongside me. But they told me this, that they must not take you as a disciple. It probably means you don't meet the criteria. That's why, unless you at least reach the level of great net immortal, I cannot bring you before them. Kong Min he gestures toward the endlessly stretching world of darkness. Currently, all of us Enders are wanted by the beings called Radiance Hall. The reason I brought you all here is because the stomach of the swallowing heaven supreme deity is the safest place. From now on, cultivate here. When you want to leave, you can speak the flawless mantra to me or Seo Eun-hyun, and you'll be able to exit. If you're bored, you can go out to the twin holding heavenly domain and wander around. The twin holding heavenly domain is where various Earth upper immortals and true immortals not affiliated with Radiance Hall gather, so there should be plenty to see. You're free here. But, she speaks with a resolute expression. Seo Eun-hyun, I cannot introduce you to the heavenly venerable of the underworld, like you asked. To be introduced to them, you need to be at least great net immortal, and ideally, you'd have to elevate your realm to the level of immortal lord. Otherwise, none of you can meet them. I let out a silent sigh. I can clearly feel her concern for me. But I have a definite reason why I must meet the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Trust me, Kong Min-hee, even if I meet the heavenly venerable of the underworld, they won't try to taxidermize me. She closes her eyes, as if unwilling to hear any more, and melts into the darkness. I'll be with my main body. You all stay here and rest. The power of the flawless mantra will protect you as long as you don't step outside that blue smoke. Well then, Shiraririk, HM. Watching her fully disappear from the space, I scratch my head. Well, this is quite. Originally, I planned to show her my 3 great ultimates right in front of her, but now it's gotten a bit tricky. Then, there's no helping it. I sigh and decide to go find Kong Min-hee's main body. Anyway, if it's her current self, she should be directly communing with the heavenly venerable of the underworld, receiving training. If I go to where her main body is, I should be able to meet the heavenly venerable. I take out Yeo Y, Uy, Hamjin, Hong Fan, Junjae, and those who were inside me into this space and ask, Hong Fan, you look after Uy, Hamjin, Junjae, and the others here. They haven't woken up yet, but if they do, explain the situation to them. And John Myung-hoon, Golden Shaking Bird. I'm going to find Kong Min-hee for a bit, so wait for me for a while. Got it. But how are you going to find her? This space inside the swallowing heaven supreme deity's belly is a darkness where no attraction force or anything else can be sensed. There's a way to handle that. I speak as I fling open my internal world. With that, 5-colored light blooms from within my internal world. Among them, the red light merges into John Myung-hoon in the blink of an eye, while the color mixed of golden, purple, and silver fly off somewhere. The light pink light disappears on the spot as if teleporting, and the dark blue light cluster quickly shoots past into the darkness beyond. That must be where Kong Min-hee's main body is. Kirarik. In the past life, the movement speed of the lights were so fast that it was hard to chase after them. It's a little different now. In an instant, a pure white 3 great ultimates rises behind me. Triple divinity awakens my mind. Triple divinity is ultimately the extreme blossoming of intense characteristics. Thus, the method of operating triple divinity is ultimately similar to consciousness. Acceleration. By the power of triple divinity, my mind seems to rise to a new dimension. It feels as though a new domain of the mind is being created. Chwerareric. In an instant, a phenomenon occurs where the world of darkness seems to flatten into 2 dimensions. Habit. I begin dash through the world narrowed into a 2-dimensional plane. Narayana nature preserves my mind within this domain. Shiraririk. Along with it, Mahesvara nature erases the distance that has been narrowed, allowing me to chase after those lights. For how long do I run after the cluster of lights, having entered a new dimension? Karurum. I spot Kong Min-hee's main body in the distance. The cluster of blue light enters and settles within Kong Min-hee's body. She seems to be an upper immortal who has followed the Earth upper immortal pathway, but perhaps because she is only at the level of a true immortal who learned the flawless mantra, even she cannot perceive me, who has arrived in this place in a fleeting instant. In this world where time seems to have stopped, I gently place my hand on her shoulder and land beside the spot where she is sitting. She is drawing a tenghua, but I cannot see what the tenghua depicts. The painting itself seems to have some sort of restriction. However, I soon lose interest in the tenghua and instead lower my waist, kneeling and bowing towards the presence I feel before me. A familiar sensation, but a reverence and awe entirely different from before. Unlike before, precisely because I've grown, I can feel just how terrifying that deep darkness is, just a little more vividly. I swallow hard, then open my mouth towards the presence before Kong Mini. This lowly upper immortal, crystal glass being Seo Eunhyun, greets the heavenly venerable of the underworld. And then, where Rurik? In this frozen world, a familiar figure appears, holding a candle flame. A being at times resembling Tae Yeol-jon, at times the village girl from the mountain village, at times Kong Min-hee, and at times Kim Yun. This is insane. Just her very existence makes chills run down my back. This a dimension reached by accelerating my consciousness, which has arrived at the true immortal level, to the point of transcendence. Even for me, moving within this dimension is burdensome, yet she moves so naturally within it. I realize as I look at her, the heavenly venerable of the underworld is the strongest. Not a single authority related to time would work on her. Aging through time acceleration would not work because her weight class is far too high, and time stop is meaningless as she, too, possesses the consciousness capable of entering a stopped world. Moreover, time reversal directly deals with past, and since the heavenly venerable of the underworld seized control of the history pathway, it would be effortlessly blocked. The Sal Tree heavenly venerable is the same. Even though they govern birth, considering that the reincarnation judge is effectively under the underworld's jurisdiction, it wouldn't be strange for their authority domain to be taken away entirely at any time. And the martial arts of the heavenly venerable of the underworld are also at a level comparable to Hien Mu, yet her weight class is even higher. No other heavenly venerable could reach even the tip of the underworld heavenly venerable's toes. It's just when I think so. Each has their own strengths. When it comes to embarking on far-reaching journeys and finding hidden coordinates, time is a step above me. Saltree as well is superior to me in granting birth and fate to life. And void, as well, I cannot be compared to. Having my thoughts seen through in an instant, I lower my head with a bitter smile. Why say such things? I am clearly of the heavenly venerables. If possible, I would prefer not to be called titles containing heaven, can. The heavenly venerable of the underworld cuts off my words with an unexpected request, and I nod. So that's why they all called her Imperial Venerable. Yes, Imperial Venerable. I have clearly experienced the heart and heaven Tingwa painting of the Imperial Venerable, and when recalling having crossed swords with Hien Mu. Indeed, that heart and heaven Tingwa painting carried a similar feeling to Hien Mu's dance of emptiness. The only difference was in how delicately its power was adjusted. Aren't the Imperial Venerable's martial arts already in the same realm as the true martial great Emperor Hien Mu? At my question, the heavenly venerable of the underworld only smiles faintly. Then she opens her mouth, and at her next words, I cannot help but feel great shock. This technique you all call martial discipline is merely a technique I learned to discern enders. I have not learned his technique to a high realm. This lowly maiden is, at best by your standards, at the realm you call seated detachment, entering hope, or perhaps the first step before the throne. I flinch in surprise. Oh, lowly maiden, you say? Why act like this towards me? No, more importantly, seated detachment, entering hope? But yours is clearly, through heterodox methods, I merely produced power equivalent to severing heaven by your standards. Unlike the versatile other heavenly venerables, this lowly maiden is merely an incompetent being who focused solely on the path of history. I am taken aback by the heavenly venerable of the underworld's sudden extreme self-deprecating attitude. Where did he suddenly disappear to? John Myung-hoon sits quietly, gazing off somewhere after Seo Eun-hyun suddenly vanished. After Seo Eun-hyun disappeared, saying he is going to find Kong Min-hee, John Myung-hoon felt an immense power welling up within his body and is currently calming that power. Because of the sudden surge in power, his mind temporarily awakened to the point of connecting to a strange space-time. Anyway, John Myung-hoon looks at Hong Fan in this world where everything has stopped and where the world feels as if it has turned two-dimensional. That guy just now? It looked like he moved. Or was it just my imagination? It was probably just his imagination. Man, what an odd expression. John Myung-hoon stares at Hong Fan, who is gazing fixedly at somewhere with an ambiguous expression. Where is he staring so intently like that with that face? As he steadies his power in the stopped world, John Myung-hoon glances towards the spot Hong Fan is fixated on, looking slightly bored. There is only darkness there. I look at the heavenly venerable of the underworld, who assumes a lower posture before me, and ask, may I know why you are suddenly doing this to me? Ho ho. But the heavenly venerable of the underworld simply smiles meaningfully and lowers her head even more in her transformation form. Something feels odd. It almost feels as though the one she is lowering herself to isn't me. Seeing as she's not telling me, she probably won't answer. Understood. I will not inquire about this matter. In that case, allow me to ask about one matter. What is it? I once heard from Yang Soo-jin Strictly speaking, it was from a remnant thought of his. I heard that the Imperial Venerable tends to capture and taxidermy beings like us up to a certain standard, but if we surpass that standard, you provide support. Who? I would like to ask. Wu Wong. I raise the pure white three great ultimates as I speak. A force that seems capable of annihilating heaven and earth surges from the pure white three great ultimates. Do I, as I am now, meet the Imperial Venerable's standard? She stares at me silently for a moment. Damn it. Just from her gaze, I feel as if I am falling into a bottomless pit. At your current level, the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld speaks after seeming to deliberate for a moment. You are exactly at the level of Yang Sujin, right before his advancement to Immortal Lord. That means. It means you do not meet the standard. I almost smile, but instead break out into a cold sweat. Damn it all. For a moment, I even wonder if I am about to be taxidermized. But I quickly pull myself together. No. The fact that she is speaking calmly with me means there is still room left. If it's the level of Yang Sujin before advancing to Immortal Lord, may I take that to mean I am almost at the threshold? After all, Yang Sujin died when he was an Immortal Lord. Yes, well, that is correct. But rather than almost, let's say SOSO. Therefore, it is because you are in an ambiguous state that I am leaving you be. If I see no further potential, I will taxidermize you immediately. But since there is still a sprout to be seen, I am allowing you time to grow. So full support is still difficult for now. That is correct. I bite my lip. So full support is out, huh? But that's fine. I have something prepared precisely for a situation like this. In that case, even if support is not possible, would a transaction be acceptable? A transaction is fine. However, I wonder if you possess something that would satisfy this maiden. It is not an object, but perhaps this will interest you. Confidently, I pull out the card that I've kept. The true will of Radiance Hall and the Radiance Supreme Deity, and their ultimate goal. Would you care to hear it? Go ahead and recite it. She smiles meaningfully with an oddly languid expression. So bargaining won't work. Seeing that smile, I think. First, let's lay out the information, then state what I want. The starting point to saving Kim Young-hoon, Kim Yun, and Oh Hyun-suk lies solely with the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld. Then, I will speak. Of course, there is the possibility that the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld already knows. Even so, what I intend to propose should be of use even to her. And if not, she'll just tell me to stop halfway. With that, I begin to reveal the ultimate goal of Radiance Hall and the true will of the Radiance Supreme Deity. Chapter 614, A Hungry World 3. The value of Radiance Hall is freedom. The Radiance 8 Immortals teach all the true immortals of Radiance Hall in this way. And they abhor fate. It is truly an amusing matter. A paradox where Radiance Hall, the group representing the fate of the entire universe, the group of heaven immortals that have seized control of the fate pathway, abhors fate. To be precise, they abhor fate being toyed with by beings who possess emotions. Those that abhor those who oppress the weak with violence that cannot be resisted. That is exactly what Radiance Hall is. That is why they claim only those who meet their standards should elevate their realms and become true immortals. When I first heard of their ideology from Zhang Ai, I thought, isn't that too much of a suffocating method? If someone becoming a true immortal or elevating their realm is determined solely by Radiance Hall, does that not mean everything is determined solely by them? Is that not closer to yet another form of tyranny rather than enlightened rule? Such thoughts crossed my mind. However, once I came to know the true will of the Radiance 8 Immortals through Meg Jean, I came to understand. It was not a suffocating method. It was the way of madmen. That is why the ultimate objective of the Radiance 8 Immortals and the Radiance Supreme Deity has veered to a truly extreme direction. In the early moments of this life, it is not without reason that, despite the sorrowful voice of the sword spear Heavenly Lord, I ignored her and fled. Let us erase the existence of all immortal families from this world. Yes, this is precisely the ultimate goal of the Radiance 8 Immortals and the Radiance Supreme Deity of Radiance Hall. Let us eliminate all who can toy with fate. Even if it is not fate, let us eliminate all cultivators who, through transcendent power, can blanket the world and oppress the weak mortals. Those who begin to obtain the possibility of transcendence. Let us annihilate all cultivators starting from the 4-axis stage, as well as all true immortals, and allow only the Radiance 8 Immortals and the Radiance Supreme Deity to rule the world. A truth so deranged that anyone who learns of it would dismiss it as the delusions of a lunatic. A top-secret objective the Radiance 8 Immortals never disclose even to the true immortals belonging to Radiance Hall. Let us have the Radiance 8 Immortals of Radiance Hall sever their emotions and use them only as tools, establishing an ideal world-governing system where they are never swayed by emotions. And, since eternal rule is neither good for the Radiance 8 Immortals themselves nor for the world, After a set period, let us have the Radiance 8 Immortals change generations. Through the fate they bestow, let us have the Radiance 8 Immortals choose candidates among the mortals and impart to them their ideology and values. Until they become the Radiance 8 Immortals, they may not be free due to their fate, but once they have become Radiance 8 Immortals, they will be given freedom with only their emotions severed. In this way, the more I reflect, the more I realize how chilling this goal is. Everyone in this world will possess freedom. Both those who rule and the mortals who are no longer subject to having their fate toyed with by transcendence. It must be because I had stolen the light from the sword spear Heavenly Lord's domain that, in my past life, I too became extreme and blocked immortal cultivation. I too had been deeply influenced by the ideology of the Radiance 8 Immortals. And through her, I came to understand. The fact that I changed so drastically after taking the light of the sword spear Heavenly Lord means. The sword spear Heavenly Lord herself also follows and supports that ideology of her own free will. This is the ultimate objective of Radiance Hall. It is a purpose that can only be described as utterly repulsive and chilling. The eradication of all true immortals and all cultivators above the 4-axis stage. That is practically as if they intend to drive immortal cultivation entirely out of this world. Then, listening to my words, the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld smiles subtly and speaks. I already knew such things. However, you seem to have something else hidden within. Perhaps that is the true content you intend to offer me as a transaction? Please speak. Indeed, there is no way the Heavenly Venerable of the Netherworld wouldn't already know this. The reason I brought this up is not merely to convey the ultimate objective of Radiance Hall. My senior brother, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity Guac Am, is currently in Penglai Island. I weave together the information I gained in my past life inside my mind. Radiance Hall joined hands with Guac Am, who seeks to annihilate the entirety of Mount Sumeru. They must have believed that annihilating all of Mount Sumeru would assist in eradicating all cultivators in this world. Most likely, they were hiding out in the outer sea, or through some other method. They ensured their successors through prophecy and were waiting for death. I pieced together the information I gathered in the previous cycle. Definitely, during the War of Radiance Hall, the underworld forces did not intervene in the war and instead set off to find Penglai Island. There is no way the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld would have suddenly sent her judges and reapers to Penglai Island without reason, which means it was to stop the Great Mountain Supreme Deity. This is proof that the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld does not wish for the destruction of this world. The Imperial Venerable has already noticed my ability, did you not? Ho ho! With my ability, I can find Penglai Island before Mount Sumeru is destroyed. I promise to find Penglai Island for you. So please assist me. That's right. The price I offer for this transaction is none other than Penglai Island. Knowing that the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld sought Penglai Island in my past life, I present the search for Penglai Island as my offer to her. The ultimate objective of Radiance Hall might not be much help, but this much should be enough. For a while, with the candle flame between us, the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld remains silent. Then, shortly after, she smiles meaningfully and speaks. I, too, have the Salt Sea returning dew jade. I can find the path and coordinates from the outer sea. So why must I borrow your ability? I am aware. With the Imperial Venerable's ability, you surely have the ability to locate Penglai Island. However, the Imperial Venerable knows as well. Even if you find Penglai Island, you cannot enter it. Penglai Island is currently a world with a master, and that master will not open the door from within. Is that not so? Ho ho. As if my words strike directly at the mark, she smiles faintly. But must you always laugh ho ho like that? Pardon. Forgive me. I truly apologize. Anyway, I clear my throat and continue. In my past life, even though the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld possessed the Salt Sea returning dew jade and sent the judges, the splitting heaven mantra of the Great Mountain Supreme Deity still activated. That means, the only conclusion I can reach is that even though she found Penglai Island with the Salt Sea returning dew jade, the Great Mountain Supreme Deity sealed the door from within and refused to let her enter. And if that is so, then surely I can propose a deal with her. If it is me, I can definitely enter Penglai Island. Because the Great Mountain Supreme Deity is, regardless of everything, my senior brother. They will open the door only for me. No matter when, I will go to Penglai Island and force open its doors. So please, lend me your aid. After smiling at me for a while, I feel the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld smiling. It seems you have come prepared, seeing how firmly you have constructed your argument. Thank you for the compliment. However, what if I possess the strength to directly find Penglai Road, pierce through it in one strike, and kill the Great Mountain Supreme Deity within? I grit my teeth. The power of the Heavenly Venerable of the Underworld is indeed overwhelming. So much so that there is a possibility her words are true. Kugagagugagu. Answer me. Gradually, the face of the being before me fades away. It is no longer human. Ku. It is darkness. A deep and vast darkness. I feel like I'm going to be crushed. I fail to endure the rank exuded by the heavenly venerable of the underworld and gasp for breath. What is this? Even when I first saw the great mountain supreme deity, I did not feel this level of pressure. Not even when I first saw Bong Myong, nor when I first faced Black Dragon, nor even when I witnessed the heavenly punishment supreme deity during my mortal being days. This is the first time I have felt such a vicious oppression. Haiyan Mu, Chion Woon, Guan Myong. Even if all three heavenly venerables combine their strength, I feel they would be no match for this existence. The words just spoken by the heavenly venerable of the underworld seem entirely true. I'll die. I realize that if I speak wrongly here, I will die and be taxidermized within this darkness. But I bite down hard on my lips. Blood seeps from my mouth. I am not afraid. What I should truly fear is, thinking that I have a plum in my mouth, I start to straighten my posture once again. Even if I die in the evening, failing to do what I must in the morning. Woodaduk. Under the pressure that feels like it is shattering my entire body, I raise myself up. The faint scent of plum seems to linger in my mouth. Then, what is it that you desire? I implore the Imperial Venerable to give me your command. I shall fulfill what the Imperial Venerable wants. What is required of me to ask for the Imperial Venerable's aid? My resonant voice echoes within the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. Immediately after, pot. The pressure vanishes, and before my eyes appears once more the transformation form of the heavenly venerable of the underworld, holding a candle. No matter how many times I see you, you are pleasing. Though the pressure is gone, I do not lower my guard as I gaze at her. If you were not my friend's disciple, you are the sort of person I would wish to bring under my tutelage. Ho ho. Very well. I shall grant your request. It is true I possess the strength to personally resolve this situation, but it is power I must conserve, so using it now would be a significant loss. The heavenly venerable of the underworld nods lightly and rises from her seat. Go forth. Then, what you seek will be delivered to you, but it will be this one time only. From here on, you must seize things with your own strength. Yes. In return, you must uphold the promise you spoke of. Even if you must grind away lifetimes, even if you must die 100 times over, you must stop the tyranny of your senior brother. That is all. Having finished speaking, the heavenly venerable of the underworld erases her presence and disappears before my eyes. Wu Wong. Now, the only one beside me is Kong Minhee, who is gradually awakening her mind as she accepts the light of the Tinghua I received in the past life. I recall the words of the heavenly venerable of the underworld as I watch Kong Minhee, then operate the flawless mantra to exit the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. How long do I wander inside the belly of the swallowing heaven supreme deity? Chwak. At last, I emerge from within the swallowing heaven supreme deity's belly. Just then, Quarrurum. With a deafening roar that feels as if the entire world is shaking, I see the sky of the twin holding heavenly domain being torn apart. Kugagagugagu. An infinite darkness seems to fill the twin holding heavenly domain, and from within, some people fall. It is Kim Yun, wearing an utterly dumbfounded expression. Oh Hyunsuk, eyes wide open in shock. And Kim Young-hoon's body, appearing to have lost its consciousness. I hastily catch them, and then taken aback, look up at the sky of the twin holding heavenly domain that is mending itself again. And no, she did say she would grant me what I desired. But I didn't expect she would immediately return my comrades like this, leaving me somewhat utterly dumbfounded. It's really this easy? Really? It feels a bit absurd, but I bite my lip as I recall her words about it being this one time only. It's only in this lifetime. From the next life onwards, it won't work. Which means, from now on, I must strive to be able to save my comrades by my own strength alone. Sururuk. Sensing a presence behind me, I glance back into the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. The golden god of this generation, after receiving the inheritance, has immediately entered deep into the outer sea. However, as long as all of you are gathered together, he will be drawn by attraction force and inevitably return to your side, so do not worry. After informing me of Kim Young-hoon's current state, the heavenly venerable of the underworld completely conceals her presence. Thus, having reunited with all my comrades, I offer a deep gratitude towards the heavenly venerable of the underworld. Thank you, O Imperial Venerable. I have found all of my comrades in this life. Now, cultivation. Only endless cultivation awaits. I resolve firmly and gaze at the sky. Co Unhyun, Hyungnim, Kim Yun. This place is. Haha, it's been a while, Hyunsuk Hyungnim. I look at Oh Hyunsuk and smile, and he seems flustered. It is when I try to explain the situation to him. Master, what has happened? Hong Fan rushes out from within the swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity's belly, and Oh Hyun-suk, upon seeing Hong Fan, opens his eyes wide, then smiles as if he finally understands. Aha, I see. I understand now. It was Master who helped us. Hong Fan and I both stand there, confused, while Oh Hyun-suk immediately bows deeply towards Hong Fan. I can only be grateful for Master's grace. Eun-hyun, Kim-hyun, offer your greetings. This person is none other than the High Spirit Grand Tao Nine Heavens overseeing fate, preserving life, Celestial Great Emperor. Their Majesty, the naming Supreme Deity Hyen Rang. Master has reunited us. Chapter 615, Cultivation 1. Hyun-suk, Hyungnim. My eyes meet Oh Hyun-suk's. Oh Hyun-suk glances at me, clearly signaling why I'm not quickly bowing to Hong Fan already. But I awkwardly clear my throat and speak. That. Do you perhaps remember the Hong Fan who used to be with me before? Then Oh Hyun-suk quietly glances up at Hong Fan. Hong Fan blinks with an utterly clueless expression. Huh. And Oh Hyun-suk, who is staring at Hong Fan, also starts blinking and begins to look at him more closely. Huh. Wait. You. Rubbing his eyes, Oh Hyun-suk stands up from his seat and starts to chuckle. This is quite surprising. You're Hong Fan. Yes, that is correct. My apologies. I was mistaken. It seems Oh Hyun-suk momentarily mistook Hong Fan for the naming Supreme Deity. Why in the world did you mistake Hong Fan for the naming Supreme Deity? Ha ha. Well, sorry about that. The moment I suddenly fell here, I thought I saw my master in front of me. But now that I look closely, Hong Fan appears a bit older, and his appearance is subtly different. I become intrigued by those words and ask, does Hong Fan's current form resemble the naming Supreme Deity? Quite a bit. It seems there is some resemblance. But if you look closely, the differences stand out. I must have simply been mistaken just now. I look at Hong Fan. Thanks to having reached the sacred vessel stage, Hong Fan now appears significantly younger. He appears as a middle-aged man in his late 40s to early 50s. Wearing a black robe and sporting a well-groomed black beard, he has the air of a refined middle-aged man. So that appearance is said to resemble the naming Supreme Deity? I ponder for a moment and then ask, Hong Fan, do you perhaps recall anything related to your past life? If Hong Fan's transformation form bears resemblance to the naming Supreme Deity, there is a high chance it stems from his past life. Considering that Hyen Rang was once the immortal Beast King, yes, there is certainly a strong possibility that they might be connected to Hong Fan. Hong Fan scratches his head and then speaks. I'm not quite sure. It feels like too distant a story. But still, for someone lowly like me to be associated with the Supreme Deity, it feels rather pleasant, ha ha. So nothing particular comes to mind. I shift my gaze away from, although, strictly speaking, Kim Young-hoon is present only in body. Inside the body of the swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity, where no light reaches. Together with my comrades, I reassess our goals. First, I will go over our current goals, starting with Young-hoon Hyungnim. I look at the unconscious body of Kim Young-hoon. Hyungnim's goal is to return home and reunite with his family. For that, he even reached entering heavens. And Jong Myong-hoon. Revenge. John Myong-hoon clenches Jin So-hae's hand tightly, spitting the words out. That's all there is. Once, he had the look of a thug. But now, having advanced to true immortality without cutting his hair, he has long, disheveled hair. The eyes that used to brim with confidence are now filled with pain and gloom. Revenge against the heavenly punishment Supreme Deity, and Zhongli. That is John Myong-hoon's purpose. Right? Then, Kong Min-hee, what about you? Protecting all of you. For now, that's it. But since it's a bit vague, there's also the goal my master, the Imperial Venerable, has set for me, which is to become a judge. In other words, becoming an immortal lord. And personally, I want to become a judge and embrace the pitiful souls. It seems Kong Min-hee's goal is to become a judge. What about you, Hyungnim? Oh Hyun-suk's eyes gleam. To go to Punglai Island, find my daughter, and return home. He clenches his fist. Those who know will know, but, back on Earth, I lost a child. That child was also a daughter. Grinding his teeth, he continues. I will never lose my family or my child again. That is my goal. And his next words make me flinch in surprise. Hyaseo, I also want to meet that child again one day and talk. Even though at some point she turned against us and showed a cruel side, she definitely had a gentle side when she was young. I nod, then finally look towards Kim Yun. She says she will pierce through the restriction on her word spirit, become fully liberated from the liberation Supreme Deity someday, and speak the words she must deliver. Hong Fan strokes his beard as he interprets Kim Yun's words. Kim Young-hoon's goal is to return home. John Myong-hoon's is revenge against the heavenly punishment Supreme Deity. Kong Min-hee's is to protect us. Oh Hyun-suk's is to return home with his family. Kim Yun's is liberation from the liberation Supreme Deity. Then, I state my own goal. I am similar to everyone. I also have to return home, and there is someone I must take revenge on. And, in order for all of us to achieve our goals, there is one thing we must do. Wawoom. I draw an inverted cone through the phenomena extinguishing mantra in the void and show my comrades a map of Mount Sumeru. This is Mount Sumeru, where we are. A world shaped like an inverted cone. Several truths of the world. And, to return home, all of us must reach the audience chamber in the 33rd heaven, located at the vertex of Mount Sumeru. And perhaps, the one guarding the audience chamber, predicted to be the gatekeeper, is precisely the head realm we began from. I speak of the conclusion to which we enders are bound by fate. The emptiness supreme deity Myong-Woon. We must defeat them. Anyone who wishes to return home must overcome them. I look around at my comrades. The goal of those who want to return home is the emptiness supreme deity. And even for those who do not, their targets are all supreme deities. Kim Young-hoon, Oh Hyun-suk, and I must face the emptiness supreme deity. John Myong-hoon, Kim Yun, and I each must target the heavenly punishment supreme deity, liberation supreme deity, and the great mountain supreme deity respectively. Even in Kang Min-hee's case, since her goal is ultimately to protect us, she is inevitably bound to clash with the supreme deities. In the end, all of our objectives require reaching the level of supreme deities. To do that, we must all, whether through the power we received when crossing into this world or by cultivating other powers, raise our realms. Womb. I bitterly look down at my hands. To reach great net immortal, how long will it take? That is why I propose this to all of you. From today onwards, no matter how much time passes, let us help one another and support each other's cultivation. And I recall the past life, with the war against Radiance Hall breaking out, how 10 million years later, all my comrades had died. No matter what happens, no matter what great wars sweep across the world, unless we each reach a certain realm, let us restrain ourselves and conserve our strength. Because only then will the probability of all of us reaching the conclusion increase. I look at them and speak. Is that acceptable to you all? John Myong-hoon and Kim Yun immediately nod. Kang Min-hee and Oh Hyun-suk seem to deliberate for a moment before speaking. All right, got it. Thus, from that day, we agree to enter into a long period of cultivation. Afterwards, I also tell them not to recklessly speak their fates and give them a general explanation about Enders and the 7 Brilliances Kings. Having reviewed our objectives and decided to stay cautious in this twin holding heavenly domain, our meeting comes to an end. After the meeting, each comrade either heads outside the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity or goes deeper in to begin cultivation. Kang Min-hee sends her clone to assist their passage. As I watch my comrades disappear, I suddenly turn to Hong Fan beside me. Now that I think about it, I'm sorry, Hong Fan. You're also a comrade, but I never asked you your goal. Haha, it's fine. My goal is nothing grand like Master's or the others. Still, I'm sorry. Could you perhaps answer me, even if it's just once more? What is your goal? Master already knows, doesn't he? My goal and my fate is simply to serve Master and your comrades well, to follow and watch over you all. I see. I'm always grateful. I pat Hong Fan on the shoulder and leave the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity with him. Then, suddenly, I feel an odd sense of déjà vu. Something feels off. Hong Fan. Yes, Master. You. Did you originally use the flawless mantra? Yin Yang. It's nothing. It seems a bit strange that Hong Fan uses the flawless mantra. But thinking carefully, it was Hong Fan who extracted the flawless mantra from Kang Min-hee and taught it to me in the first place. It's only natural that Hong Fan uses the flawless mantra. Yes, well, I taught it to you last time, didn't I? Ha ha ha. Ha ha. That's true. We exit the body of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. In the distance, I see Oh Hyun-suk, Kim Yun, John Myong-hoon, and Golden Shaking Bird gathered, discussing something. Oh, See-oh Eun-hyun. We've decided to first look for a suitable place to cultivate. It seems for Kang Min-hee, the supreme deity's body is ideal, but for us, it's not much more than a shelter. So, for now, we've decided to explore this place with Golden Shaking Bird's guidance. A good idea. I'll join you. Thus, my comrades and I decide to explore the twin holding heavenly domain. Karurum. I first transform into the form of Candle Shadow, letting my comrades ride on my back, and use the power of explosion to break away from the vicinity of the swallowing heaven supreme deity. Ahem. Then, I shall begin today's tour of the twin holding heavenly domain. Golden Shaking Bird climbs atop my head, pointing towards the twin holding heavenly domain and begins introducing it. First, let me explain the origin of the name and why it is called the twin holding heavenly domain. Oh, all right. Go ahead and tell us. When John Myong-hoon asks curiously, Golden Shaking Bird twitches her ears happily and continues. Originally, the name of the twin holding heavenly domain was Yugidhara, Hejendo, given by a being known as the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King. Apparently, it's a transliteration of the language from their homeland, but the exact meaning is unknown. Later, Radiance Hall gave it the name Holding Twin, Trisong, Heavenly Domain. Holding Twin Heavenly Domain. But it's been flipped. John Myung-hoon looks puzzled, and my eyes gleam. That is right. Why it is called Twin Holding, I'm not entirely sure, but it is said to have been influenced by beings known as the Buddhist Twin Venerables. Something about how there are two paths the wheel has passed. Wheel, two paths. I immediately understand. I see. This being known as the Obsidian Devil Heavenly King must have sought help from my master and the Heavenly Venerable of the underworld. The Axle Imperial Venerable and the Wheel Imperial Venerable. Perhaps what was completed with their help is the immortal art that is the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity. It seems plausible. However, as soon as Radiance Hall named it the Holding Twin Heavenly Domain, something strange happened. What is it? By the power of the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity, the name was immediately flipped. It is said that even back then, there was the Naming Supreme Deity occupying the seat of names, but the name that was bestowed by both the Naming Supreme Deity and Radiance Hall was overturned. With it completely flipped, the Naming Supreme Deity and Radiance Hall tried to correct the name again, but she shrugs her shoulders as she explains. In the end, the name, reversed to Twin Holding, never changed, as if the flipped ordering was its original name. As I listen to the story, I feel like I'm starting to understand something. Then, it's when I look towards the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity. The black hole the size of 5 superclusters disappears, and in its place, someone of equal magnitude sits in a lotus position. That someone wears a dignified pitch-black dragon robe and mianguan, and all over their body, countless mouths grow, tearing apart the void and endlessly devouring the very fabric of the dimension itself. Their face is shrouded in darkness, unseen. However, that being is sitting in a lotus position upside down, and somehow, I feel as though I meet their gaze. Shiver. A chill runs through my entire body. Yet, nothing earth-shattering occurs. Fortunately, they don't seem to want to interfere. Though they seem to be watching me. Unlike the other supreme deities, they show no particular interest in us. Perhaps because they are an innate supreme deity born from a mantra, their consciousness itself feels faint. That is the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity. I click my tongue and look at the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity, then shift my gaze forward again. The inversion is probably the influence of the flawless mantra. I recall the appearance of the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity sitting in a lotus position, upside down. Their actual appearance is the form of a black sphere, but what I saw must be the essence of the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity. The flawless mantra is something that can only be cultivated by flipping oneself upside down. Because the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity endlessly recites the flawless mantra upside down. That is probably why it flipped like that. At my explanation, everyone nods, intrigued. You're very knowledgeable, Elder. And as you know, the Twin Holding Heavenly Domain is the heavenly domain of a supreme deity whose reason is faint, the Swallowing Heaven Supreme Deity. That's right. And because of that, those who want to be free from the subordination of other supreme deities, or true immortals not affiliated with Radiance Hall, all end up coming to the Twin Holding Heavenly Domain. Kugugugugu. In the distance, 2 powerful presences are felt. I look toward them, my eyes glinting. True immortals? It is quite a fascinating experience. This isn't a confined space like Liberation Peach Garden in the Earth Boundary Heavenly Domain, but an open and expansive heavenly domain. Yet, to encounter true immortals here means, if it's elders like yourselves, you've likely not met many other true immortals besides me. But here, in the Twin Holding Heavenly Domain, you might be able to meet and form connections with many true immortals, and Kayaf. Suddenly, Golden Shaking Bird's face flushes bright red as she covers her eyes. She looks embarrassed. Why are you doing that, Golden Shaking Bird? We all look puzzled, and Golden Shaking Bird speaks with a flushed face. When I glance ahead, I suddenly see the Vestige Liberation Immortals whose massive presences have been felt for a while. They do not take their transformation form. Instead, they have descended directly in their main bodies. Having descended into the cosmic space in their main bodies, these true immortals are entangled with each other. True immortals, rather than possessing a singular physical body, are closer to being a concept or a massive mass of energy, so their entanglement appears like 2 nebulae writhing and overlapping. Kurururum. Between the 2 true immortals, a son is being born. Watching this, I feel utterly bewildered. What is it about this scene that makes her react like this? And at Golden Shaking Bird's next words, my comrades and I are all left dumbfounded. Those lecherous bastards. In a public place, they're shamelessly showing off their bedroom arts. See Crazy Lunatics. We all stare blankly at the 2 intertwined masses of nebulae. Within them, a son is being born.